Ahead of a Friday with some economic data and lots of stories to discuss. S&P 500 right now gapping up, though we're still below the high that we made pretty early during yesterday's session. And you've got the Nasdaq. Nasdaq actually also poised to open higher and actually above that high from yesterday. So we've seen the Nasdaq to some extent underperforming the S&P 500 lately. That's not happening this morning. Take a look as well here at USO. Oil right now poised to open relatively flat after initially pushing higher and then giving back that entire move. So right now you've got a flat look for oil and a green look for SPY and the Nasdaq. We should actually have a new member of the SPY to talk about. We'll get to that in a minute because I do want to do some housekeeping. We've had economic data pretty intensely and very much in focus over the last 2 days with PPI yesterday, CPI on Wednesday. Today you get at 8:30 a.m. retail sales. This is a pretty closely watched print, so keep an eye on these numbers. We're expecting a little bit of cooling here for retail sales, but a heating for core retail sales on a month-over-month basis. At 10 a.m., we get another pretty closely watched print, the preliminary University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print for the month of August. So this does include some inflation data as well, so keep an eye on that print at 10. This one can also be market moving. Let's talk about another name that's certainly moving this morning. This is Reddit. RDDT, just over 2 years after it became public in March of 2024. They're joining the S&P 500, ousting Avalon Bay. You also have SpaceX here, Elon Musk filing, revealing a very, very large stake in the company, as I guess we could expect. You've also got earnings in focus here. So there is, once again, a lot to discuss on what should be a busy and exciting Friday. Good morning, Sri.
Good morning, Adira. Yes, as you mentioned, Reddit above 10% here. They're going to be included in the S&P. Avalon Bay getting acquired. So they will be removed. We have AMAT as well reporting earnings after the bell. They're down around 5.25. A Workday also going private here, possibly Baba and Apple with tie-up in China to make Siri a little bit better there. We know that Apple needs a local partner. Baba seems to be the one. Uber and Pony AI time the knot for more autonomous ride-hailing services. And SanDisk, don't look now. But on the daily, it may be breaking trend. It's almost up 7%. And new Adira, NU, reported earnings up 14% as well. And Wayfair, W, has looked pretty decent. Yet they got an upgrade yesterday, another one from Bernstein this morning.
Yeah, there's a lot here to look into. And I think, again, guys, just this tech, the level of news I think we have in tech this morning with Alibaba and Apple, and of course with this Reddit inclusion, it's all pretty significant, not always what you're going to see on a Friday morning. So should be an exciting trading session, that is for sure. To take us through that session, we've got Neil and Sean. Good morning to both of you. What are you looking at today?
Good morning. Hard not to look at memory today. I mean, SNDK is up 7%. Unbelievable. When that when the investor day rally was happening, it was like we ended the morning show at 11 o'clock. Like you go get a coffee, and it's like the stock moved $200 effectively. Just unbelievable rally for SNDK. They're talking about huge, like they're talking about 75% margins, 80% revenue growth. Like everything is. It's like it's a game on again, right? Like when we had that hedge fund blow up, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. Cars coming down the road, get the nets off the road, and someone just yelled game on, and now you're right back into a bit of a breakout here. So yeah, like, it's a lot to watch. Obviously, the Reddit story, I think we've seen this one before. I don't know if it's like automatically going up. Like it's gapped higher because they're going to S&P 500. Finally, I think a lot of people have been waiting for this one for a while, but it's already starting to sell. I also feel like this could be a little bit of a later on type of a play. Like let it catch a bid in the middle of the day or sometime early in the afternoon into the close, and then that could be a bit of a play as well. So yeah, that'll be on the radar, I think for sure. For those that at some point when it opens up, you are not up a bajillion percent. If you own Beyond Meat shares, the reverse split that we thought was yesterday is apparently today. So we'll see if that one can eventually squeeze. Yeah, there's a lot to watch today. And this is stock. Shoot, there was one more thing I was forgetting. What was the stock again?
There's a space stock that everybody talks about all the time.
ASTS? No.
It's Rocket Labs.
Sidus.
Space.
Space. Very important name that we'll definitely cover that's not SpaceX.
Yeah, we like, I've liked Reddit for a while, but it's not like it's really doing anything. I mean, even on this inclusion right here. So we'll have to see if that can get above some of these levels as we're refreshing our earpieces here. to get those working here on a lazy Friday. I think, yeah, the market, I mean, I know we keep saying there's a lot of stories, but really there's not. 180, there's always stories every day, but the market's pretty today, right? I mean, we're going to work through it. We're going to get this going. Nasdaq up 0.25. Apple on that news, I thought would have been a little bit higher than where we are right now. And even Alibaba is hovering, right? And so there's Apple like up 0.13. Alibaba, like these are the stories that we're leading with. Apple up 0.13. Alibaba flat to red right there and not doing too much volume, 62,000 shares. NVIDIA and SanDisk, looks like SanDisk, Neil's already looked at that one. That's going to be the one that rocks and rolls here a little bit here, up 6.3%. So if it's a little bit too expensive for you, we can look at some DRAM. I mean, that could be an optionable play here, and we'll discuss this SanDisk story very soon. Micron's been an interesting name to trade as well. And then we looked at NVIDIA trying to get back up to the highs as well. And they're doing this, again, another financing thing. If you can't afford it, there'll be a $500 billion AI financing initiative here. I don't even know what that means, but that should be exciting. That's still under a million shares, 0.2 right now on NVIDIA. And then a quick check to see what's going on USO. USO has been one of those sort of, it's not forgotten or anything like that, but kind of just, it's like we haven't really gotten too many headlines other than, here we go. Boeing and RTX deals. Agreement to boost production on missile components. Okay, well, we can look at, this is what their business is, so I'm not sure this is really going to be rifling the stock upside right there. No, absolutely nothing on. See, this is what I'm saying. All these stories are dropping, but there's really nothing going on. So, put some names in the chat there that you guys want us to look at here today. Even Boeing not doing anything today on that story either. So it might be a SpaceX kind of day for the first time here on Trader TV Live.
Oh, the chips are going to move today. There's 100%. So the memory chips are going to move, and I think
that's for sure.
for Mr. Seymour in the chat, I think is it Seymour? Yeah, Noah Seymour. You asked for names. LUNR. Intuitive Machines of all of the charts yesterday probably had the craziest day of any stock, and it didn't get a lot of coverage because they were getting dunked on in the pre-market on earnings, and then at 9:30 caught a God mode candle from $14.20 to $16. That's the opening candle. $14.20 to $16. That's an over 10% 3-minute candle on the open, and then it just continued to go. So obviously, I'm going to double check the short float in a second, but obviously that's a pretty big reversal, and it's gapped up again. If it's a big enough short float, this one feels like it could be continuation. Look at the candle is absurd. The candle is so absurd on the daily chart that it just looks like it's not real. That's probably just a silly dark pool. That's not actually real. And then you realize it is. If this can just stay green, I said I would double check. Let's see what the short float is on LUNR. Because that's 27% short float. So that's what happens when you have what looks like an earnings dump. Maybe some shorts like, we can add into this, and then they get blown up. So I'm going to guess that some short covering was part of the story, but this one has to be on the radar for sure. Adam James is abroad still. No, he's still abroad.
I think he's always abroad.
Adam
James abound. Yo, what's up, Adam? Yeah, we'll get it all figured out at some point here about that stock. We can joke about it all we want, but honestly, like that trade there at the end of the day was epic, to say the least, I think. Anyways, we waited for this whole move to happen. We sat there and we took 144.75. This stupid wick right here. Maybe if I edit this quickly, data editor. Okay, here it is, the low. So let's go to 141.54 again and fix this chart. So we sat there, Adam and everybody, and waited for this whole move. Neil and I sat here on our hands, and we talked about this move, and we talked about it going to 145. Your boy sat there and took the trade at 144.75, and then cashed it out on the way down. But we did get we got 141s and 141, 142 into the close there on this move right back in. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that was that, right? It turned out to be one of the biggest trades of the day, as Neil just mentioned, LUNR. But this trade actually happens in 10 minutes or so. straight down to the downside, and we actually had this trade on board. So yeah, man, lots of opportunities here today. Hopefully it keeps on coming through. You know, I'm here, so we'll see if we can get some winners for you. Again, could have some losers, who knows? 142.50. We're gonna do some work on SpaceX. I haven't really looked at anything yet. Just trying to wait to see if anything's actually gonna pop through today. There, thank you, Donald, again. What's up to Mike P. Riders in here? Oh, there it is. Yeah, shout out to Juan Padilla, who took the trade with me there at the end of the day. And you know, like I was saying, everybody has the opportunity to take trades or not, right? If they set up, they don't. They do, they don't. But that was a good one. And, you know, our out was going to be 145.25. So for 50 cents worth of risk, we ring the register for $3+ there at the end of the day. So congratulations to you, Juan Padilla, and to everybody that had that. So,
and the best part is you zoomed out, but if you're zoomed in.
Yeah.
If you actually zoom the chart out, you'll see at the open, SpaceX held from right at the open at 9:30 into 9:50. So for 20 minutes, that same 145 level, which by the way was the bottom in the afternoon on the imbalance area, gave that same trade and flushed in the morning. So it was there in the morning and was there in the afternoon. It was had both times. I think it's the most obvious level outside of $150 to Friday. It's the most obvious level. As a matter of fact, I feel like Mr. Options is probably going to be talking about SpaceX options at one of those two prices. Almost certainly 45 or the 50 level. But it's a Friday, so you know all the big optionable levels are going to be a big deal. But we have a couple of super chats. Let's get to them if we can. I don't have the page open, so Andre, if you're faster than me, guess you are. XKR. OpenAI is on track for 40 billion revenues annually, doubling from 2025 after recent codecs and affordable subscription changes. AI scare trade, no more. You know what I want to hear from OpenAI? That they're confidently rolling out their IPO. That's what I want. Where is that talk again? Right? And at the end of the day, you have Anthropic that's going to be coming to market. And we don't hear a peep out of OpenAI. The thing that concerns me, the next concern for the actual AI trade to me is going to be, do you when everyone starts talking about how they need to raise more capital and issuing bonds and this and that, does that start to threaten buybacks? Because we're in a world where we're so accustomed to big companies and big tech buying back stock. Does it ever get to a point where they reduce buybacks because of the CapEx ban and because they're in a raising capital framework? That's what would concern me. So, yeah, OpenAI, Anthropic, like them a little bit better. Dave's Uber sage trade ideas for the chat: high volume pop, then summer fade to close. SNDK. Look, got institutional buying pattern. Join it. Yep. That was yesterday. It was crazy. UMAC, if you want to get whipped around. Peace. Ooh, UMAC. That's a name that we haven't heard in a while. Unusual Machines. I don't think that one. See, yeah, what's what I love? Like the chat, like sometimes undefeated. Like we're talking about, oh, there's this story, that story. Didn't hear anyone mention this one up 18%. Good look, Dave. 100%. It's got the 52-week high up top here, but that's still a couple of dollars away. So that can be in play. It's not a huge volume name. It's done 400,000 shares, but that's actually pretty good pre-market volume for this one. What I haven't seen a lot of in the chat, there's been a lot of SpaceX talk. Now we see some UMAC, there's some LUNR in there. I haven't really seen too many small cappers. Tisha was mentioning one. What's on your radar, Sharif? Because I feel like that's been pretty quiet this morning.
Let's have a look here, Neil. So the number one gapper in the market right now is WETO. It's up 191%, having done almost 24 million shares of volume. The float is micro, as I like it. 1 million share float. It is trading near the highs, a bit more expensive here. It's $11, above the volume weighted average price, above $10, holding structure quite well. This is the one that I would be keeping my eye on here, WETO. Let's take a look at CAPR. This is the second leading gapper in the market right now, up 102%. Breakout yesterday right after the bell around 4:35. It is holding structure, so it didn't give up the move from the aftermarket yesterday. In fact, it made higher highs in the pre-Adara into 950. When we get into that 950, I start thinking 10 immediately, right? And if we clear 10 decisively, I start thinking 15. So those are the two, WETO and CAPR.
Yeah, let's talk about another name that's above VWAP here, and that name is, of course, SanDisk. SanDisk was also above VWAP pretty much all of yesterday's session as well. And that session yesterday came as they had their investor day. So this happened, I think it started at 9 a.m. I was seeing comments till like 11 a.m. So investors had a lot of time to just digest a lot of positive news and guidance coming out of SNDK, memory name that's been beaten up as of late. But as you mentioned here earlier, definitely trying to battle back here.
Yeah, the daily chart is breaking downtrend a little bit here. Let's talk about it. You astutely pointed out the investor day yesterday. Of course, we had their post-earnings volatility as well. Guys, they disclosed yesterday, and something that they highlighted during the call as well. So they had pricing power here outpace their growth, their volume growth by 2 to 1. So the earnings that they're making, the top line growth, most of it is coming from increasing prices, not more unit sales. That's good and both bad, right? So it does create possibly some demand destruction. It also creates a bit of a bubble. So keep that in mind. But you also have driven by high capacity enterprise SSD, which are being used in these data centers. Just to give you an idea of how much they're selling this year compared to last year, SSDs accounted for about 12% of their shipments this time last year. That's now 38%. And they're generating almost $3 billion in revenue at Dara. That is almost 1,300% more money than they were making this time last year from this specific product. And then they have that Kioxia tie-up, that joint venture there, right? And so it's not all sunshine and rainbows. They've got to spend money to increase capacity. That's that joint venture. They're going to be spending money there. And then a lot of the money that they're actually getting ahead of time from their clients, because there's so much demand for RAM, people are willing to prepay and prepay pretty aggressively. So they have about $1.9 billion in prepayments from these hyperscalers who are all looking to secure supply.
Yeah, it's a good look, and I think a lot of these memory names, of course, certainly going to be in focus as they were yesterday. Are you guys looking at any of these memory names? And just a reminder for everybody, we're 14 minutes away from retail sales data.
Oh, 14
yeah,
minutes.
retail sales. So
okay.
I still have plenty of time for that. I think, look, if you're not looking at memory today, you should at least be there for a sentiment, to look at the sentiment for sure. SNDK, and I think I heard Sharif mention this, but I'd say it's fairly obvious at this point. Like, you'd make the argument that it broke the downtrend, and since doing so, has just sort of found a bit of a base for the rally. And yesterday was that confirmation breakout at 15. The only thing, I guess, standing in its way is 1,700 resistance, and the 50-period moving average would be sitting out there. But when you gap up, can you hold on to prior resistance? And that's going to be, so if 1,700 would kind of be the way to go, it's a Friday. You can expect some profit taking sometimes coming on through. That high, when it was, let's call it program buying, whatever, the investor day top, that's yesterday's high, never got any higher, is at about 1,580. And I think you start looking across the board, like DRAM came up on sympathy as well. Now remember, SNDK is the leader, so it, in theory, should be a little bit stronger. This had bid support down at 57. On DRAM, if you're looking at Micron, they've all done a very similar move on the daily chart, realistically, and these all look the same. Now, some of them, what you don't want to see would be, like, if SNDK starts rallying, like breaking out tops, and you're still struggling the other two, then you got to be playing SNDK. But I think the group, they all look very similar. They all made the same high on that on the investor day top, and they're all making a very similar trend break as well. So that's why I think DRAM is perfectly fine. It's not as if they're moving not in concert. Like, they're in concert with each other. So I think you're fine to look for a DRAM. But I am waiting for that test of support this AM, because it seems like they want to do some profit taking early here. And it just seems like the resumption of an uptrend after what was a pretty hefty pullback. I mean, worse on SNDK than it was on Micron, but still a pretty hefty pullback.
Yeah, we'll probably go in there. Now that I'm looking at it, I'll probably trade some DRAM, but I am asking everybody right here as well. Go here, I'll put this in the, I've been putting it in the chat. Copy this and paste this. Get into the chat right now. Hit the like to subscribe. Get in the chat and let me know right here what you guys are trading. I said looking at the Apple and Baba tie-up, and of course some SpaceX, but what else is setting up in your world? Let me know, and then we'll talk about that when we get back from Joe with options at the big screen.
All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from yesterday's session. Some interesting things going on here, guys. $350 on Tesla. This is a specific strike price, but from a technical standpoint, you can see that we might enter a gap zone here. After that gap zone, after the previous earnings report, took some time to recover, but Jose and I in the algo room were actually discussing if we enter this gap, where could this next potential target be? And that led us right to this exact $350 strike price, guys. A lot of open interest. So if we do decide to climb a little bit higher, breach the gap, this is where I would look for some supply to step in, because I do believe there's a little bit of weakness within this name. But also, don't forget, things can be absorbed, and we can see these contracts rolled over to next week. So what we have right now, guys, is 30,000 contracts open up at this $350 level. This is going to be expiring after the bell today, but there's a substantial amount of volume stepping into here, ladies and gentlemen, 79,000 contracts there. So this is a zone. If we do happen to breach the gap, I'm going to be looking for a potential move into $350. Now, surprisingly so, as I was running through the options data, these contracts are relatively cheap, okay? So I know my guy Travman's going to be looking at these potentially as well, too. So $49 on the ask, that's what you're going to be paying, $50, and then you're going to be a collector, $48 there as well. And considering it's an out-of-the-money contract, you can see our delta is relatively cool, sitting around 11 cents, and our gamma exposure sitting at 2 cents, and also our vega as well. But if we do continue to climb, then you'll see an increase in your Greek metrics. Moving forward, surprisingly so what we have here is a substantial run within the contract itself. We peak over here at around north of 69 cents, closer to 75, but then you sell off. Even though the underlying held up relatively well, you can see that theta most definitely steps into it. And within our next contract, we'll most definitely be able to identify that as well too. Guys, we're going to be looking at $1,700 here on SanDisk. Again, expensive name, something that we're not going to see too much options activity within, but I thought it was interesting considering the massive move that we experienced yesterday. Now, this is going to be expiring after the bell, but open interest sitting at 2,300 contracts with volume around 9,500 open and closed on the yesterday session. I had to blink twice and refresh the screen to make sure that these bid and ask were correct, because $1.90, Sharif, is relatively cheap for $1,700 underlying, and on the collector side, you're looking at $1.60. There is a $30 spread, but don't forget this is a $1,700 name. Moving forward, what I really want us to look at is the appreciation within this contract itself, 3,100%, but you can see we're still hovering around the highs. Why is the contract losing its value? Theta decay, all right, guys? So just keep that in mind, Sharif, just in case, because that's why when you see these massive runs, make sure you look to take a little bit off the table. Moving forward, last but not least, we have Bitcoin. Neil, I know Neil likes trading this one, and I was looking at the liquidity. It has been drying up as of late. So what we will do is look for some more potential floors, and that led me to approximately 50 cents away from where we're currently trading. The $35 strike price, can we hold up at this level? The question being, will the supply zone of 21,000 contracts at this level hold as support? Because as I scrolled through our options chain, I seen some more size at the $25 marker. That would be a pretty hefty cut in Bitcoin itself from where we're currently trading at. 5,900 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session, and you can see the bid and the ask isn't worth very much whatsoever. Our Greek metrics are going to be cool. You can see our delta sitting around 10 cents, and our gamma exposure sitting around 25 cents. Those are our options activity. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
So SNDK 1,700 needs to get there
options.
today, that's for sure. But it's about 5 points from here, man. SNDK could go, it's up 6, so 5 points, get 11%, double digits. It's possible, but it'll probably turn into a little bit of a wall up there. I know a lot of people are going to be bullish looking at those chip names, but yeah, like I think is going to be another short. Like one of these days, it's going to go to the upside, but every single day this week, it has made some kind of a top, usually in the pre-market. Sometimes it did rally yesterday. Yesterday was a tricky one because it actually made the high at 11 instead of right away at the open, so it required more patience, but then it just drops 2% and eventually gets that 2% low. So if it does the same thing today, I'm looking at 35.9, just in and around maybe 8, 9s, but just a little bit more patience. If it isn't an instant pop and fail like it's been doing every day except for yesterday, then it's waiting for it to get up until the 80s and the 90s. What can you say? It stinks. You know, like this is, And the worst part about it in this bear move is that you've actually seen some gains across the board. Like you're consolidating and actually heading lower on Bitcoin, and meanwhile you've had ETH make a bottom and consolidate higher. In the afternoon, you had Circle going absolutely ham all afternoon. I mean, there was other things moving, but look at the bid that got into Circle. Even when you thought, it might slow down, still ended up closing almost effectively at the highs. You didn't really see Bitcoin doing that. So yeah, it's the dog, and I think it just sort of remains a look short until it has the day that it doesn't at this point. But yeah, Circle's probably worth keeping an eye on if it does catch any kind of an afternoon bid like that again. Like that was complete insanity. Like it was this, and in the afternoon, the upside plays were this and some other crypto names, and then of course Workday, which we haven't heard anything further about that potential deal. I thought we might come in and in here, Workday is going to be, I don't know, like this is the 220. I'm just making it up. You never really know where they're going to end up pricing this thing if they do a deal, but it would be absolutely gigantic if they did. And that's why you saw software rally in the afternoon. It is dead quiet with Workday today. I don't even think it's probably not on anybody's radar unless we get a news update, to be honest.
You know what? I just put out the sticky note here. I think I'm going to add Palantir to it. Palantir is an absolute rocket. Like, what a great name over the last couple weeks there off their earnings call. It's just been an absolute monster there to the upside. Maybe I'll take some more out today because it looks like you're trying to break that 180. So I just was going to say, like, that's been a level here, 180. That's bounced its head off that a couple times. And we are setting up. I mean, it's down today. We'll see if the Nasdaq can catch that bid. We were just there at the end of the day yesterday. And of course, we chose SpaceX to go short, which turned out to be awesome. But that was another good look right up here for Palantir as well. So Palantir got up to that 180. So definitely worth a little bit of a look here on PLTR. I mean, if we're going to look for some sort of a level on this name, what about this rate here, 177? Like a pullback, and it's going to happen early. So you're going to have to wait to see if it defends it or not. But I think, what's up, Daryl and everybody in the chat? I see the real ones out there today. 177 maybe as a dip buy opportunity there for Palantir. Seems a bit early for me on that one, but definitely something to look at. Okay, what's up to TikTok viewers? Thank you to all your TikTok love there again today. We love some TikTok. All right, so Netflix, yeah. Bill Ackman has entered the building, so we really like that one. There, got some activist movement happening on, on Netflix. And yeah, still a little ways to go, right? I mean, we'd still like to see us break through $80. What's up, Midday?
Please tell me that activist was an intentional pun, because that was amazing.
Thank you, and no. Yeah, so $79 breaking out. It's all that training that we have here, just throwing these things naturally in there. We've been doing this now for 6+ years. So sometimes we just say things, it's like, you're talking about Rocket Lab and you're like, oh, this thing's gonna, get to the moon or something. Yeah. It's like little things like that. But yeah, no, I think, what was so unique about the thing? What I just said there, Adara? What was it?
You talked about Ackman in Netflix, and then you said activist investing, and that's why I thought it was a pun.
Okay, good one there. Yeah, all right, not bad. Yeah, no, so just nice move on Netflix. And I, if you're nervous about it, you're getting that bump now. And I think it's worth selling if you're holding this and you're a little nervous about it. You've made a nice move back into $68. I think I have to look at a different chart to get a proper 200 period moving average. Like you're ways, whoops. Yeah, you're ways from that, right? $89. So there is a nice climb if you do believe in it. There is an idea that this gets back up to the 200 period moving average. But I don't really know. And we were going to look, and I meant to do it, never did, but look to see why Bill Ackman's involved here. But yeah, up to 83 might be something. 83 is back here in 2025. It came in again just before that huge run up. And of course with Warner Brothers. And then a little bit of gathering here at 83 as well. So yeah, I mean, we're going to have retail numbers come out in a minute. I mean, if they're pretty strong, then I could see that be a reason for Netflix because, I know it's not a retail name in the, generic sense, but this does show a strong consumer. Are they going to cut their memberships? Are they not going to cut it or not? So let's go find out with Adara right here what those retail numbers look like, and we'll see if Netflix moves off that.
Yeah, we've got here about 30 seconds now. Retail sales month over month, 0.1% is the forecast, 0.2% is the prior print. So as I alluded to earlier, we are expecting a little bit of a cooling in the month over month numbers, but core retail sales month over month actually a little bit hotter is what we're expecting here. 0.2% is the forecast, negative 0.2% was the prior print. We're also going to get the year over year print. Prior print for that was 6.7%. And now in just a matter of less than 5 seconds and 2 seconds at this point, we'll get these retail sales numbers for you all here. Retail sales month over month, negative 0.6% is what I'm seeing. That is going to be well below that forecast of 0.1% and below the prior print of 0.2%. So again, negative 0.6% for that retail sales numbers. For core retail sales, negative 0.3%, also cooler than the positive 0.2% forecast. So year over year, still not seeing populate yet, but we had 6.7 as the prior print, 6% as the estimated print. Here's the S&P 500. Not too much of a reaction here on this. Again, cooler than expected retail sales print. Sharif, I heard you make a sound when we got that number out. What are your thoughts on this print?
Well, the headline number is not good, obviously, but I'm getting more information here. So autos, gas, building material, food services, they're down 0.4% versus the consensus estimate of 0.3%. So you're seeing it in very important areas in the economy too, Adara. And yeah, that is a bit of a trouble there. And I'd like to see the corresponding delinquency numbers to see if credit card balances are starting to increase, how many, what the percentage is of 30 days unpaid. So let's see how these numbers are digested by the market the rest of the day.
Well, you mentioned credit cards. We're going to go to Michael Noss in a second, but I want to talk about some new bank before we do that. NU, this is a really strong earnings report. The market actually responding in kind. Tons of double-digit year-over-year growth across the board is what I saw.
Yeah, so not a bank that we know too much about. They don't really have a presence in North America. They're mostly Brazilian, right? But now they're expanding to Colombia and Mexico, and they're doing quite well with their international expansion. Net interest margin. Yes, this is banking talk now, up 22.9%. And the risk-adjusted net interest margin also up markedly, 12.4 from 9.5. What it does confirm, aside from just the fact that it's growing, is that their international expansion into unsecured loans. I'm talking credit cards. I'm talking about unsecured personal loans. That is a riskier business, is doing quite well. Okay, so they know what they're doing there. Their cost of credit is also dropping, meaning that they're able to bring in more net interest income without having to expend as much money. That increases margins. They have an industry-leading efficiency ratio of 19.5%, and their deposits are actually growing faster than their loan portfolio. So more people are depositing into the bank than they are taking out loans. That gives them some free cash flow. And as I mentioned, they're growing pretty aggressively in Mexico and Colombia.
Yeah, I think that really big growth story was my main takeaway from that report and from what you said there as well. So good look for new. Now we're going to introduce someone new, though you've seen him before. It'll be Michael Noss over here for the first time today as we digest these. Again, cooler than expected retail sales numbers. Good morning, Michael. How are you doing this Friday?
I'm doing fine. The market seems to be doing, I never know with these numbers. It's like, okay, retail's worse, so that's bad, or retail's worse, so then the Fed lowers rates and that's good. So market seems to be up a bit, so I guess I'll just take it in the good column for now.
And you're actually prepared to talk about the market being up today. So that's actually your topic today, inadvertently or tangentially. So I think this is a really good transition. Let's talk about this high that the SPY made without the Nasdaq following suit.
Yeah, and this is I think that the most interesting divergence I have seen in the market in a long time. We have been conditioned for years and years to go, okay, the Nasdaq's the leader and kind of drags the rest of the market kicking and screaming up with it. But, I called this one the lonely high because we made an all-time high yesterday in the SPY, which is the next slide there, the first chart. If you were living under a rock, I guess, we made an all-time high in the S&P 500. We've done a couple of these, but this was, nice break of that base. Looks like we're holding it. Everyone liked that. However, if you go to the next chart, the Qs didn't. And the Qs are actually pretty well below, around 2% or so below their all-time highs. That's not, it's not dramatic or anything, but again, being conditioned to go, okay, the Qs are the leader and the SPY kind of catches up with everything. That got me thinking. Now, first of all, I think it's a good thing. I've been on record of saying I think that, getting some leadership in things that aren't AI trades and large cap techs is amazing. And so I think overall this is healthy for the market. But I just wanted to, as kind of the quant, as the statistician guy, I wanted to go and say, well, how often do we get to see this move that goes up to the when the Nasdaq catches up, right? Is the SPY going to catch down, or is the Nasdaq going to catch up? That was the main kind of question as well, right? And the quote I have on the next slide is just, I've heard this mentioned a lot, that without leadership, it's going to be a bad thing. Dow theory in particular says that you want to see all of these indexes kind of move together and break to new highs together. But I always like to challenge these kind of conventional wisdoms with math to see if we have any kind of statistical advantage here. So next slide is kind of what I've went through, and there's been 472 new record highs since the dot-com bubble, and only kind of 72 of them, 47 of them happened with the Nasdaq lagging that much. So it's only a 10% chance that if you have this S&P 500 new high, that you don't have the Nasdaq at a new high as well, which is really interesting. So I did a whole, I've got a lot of tools at my disposal, and I did a whole blitz, I call it, where I'm running all these different rules and saying, okay, is there a trade to be made here? Because anytime I see a rare event, the first thing I go and say, well, is there a trade? So what happens next in the markets when we have this kind of rare event where the SPY is making this new high, and this kind of 1 in 10 chance that the S&P 500 or that the Nasdaq is at least one below it? So the next chart just kind of shows what happens kind of 1 week, 1 month, and 6 months out. The dark green line is a record close with the Qs lagging, and you can see kind of what happens. And then I always like to compare those to a baseline where the light gray area is what happens on every record high, and then the shaded gray area is just a random day. So that's kind of our base for there as well. So 1 week, there's not really much of an edge. Actually, the SPY actually is flat the week later. So that could be a trade in and of itself on average. 1 month, though, and then up to 6 months, you get this insane relative outperformance that happens. And I think it's because what we're going to look at next is that if the SPY is able to do this alone, then what happens when we get the Nasdaq catching up? And the reason that this is so important is the stocks inside the Nasdaq make up like 30% of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is really weighted to big cap tech. So if it can do so good with big cap tech lagging, then it's like, imagine what's going to happen when we finally catch up. So this next chart is kind of just a scatter plot that I came up with, and it just shows how long does it take for the Qs to catch up when the Nasdaq happens. And it's like a bit of a mess, so I'll explain it. So the bottom axis is just saying how much is the Nasdaq lagging, and then the top axis is just how often or how long does it take to catch up. And kind of right where we are in the middle is the one highlighted in yellow, where we're around 2% lagging on the Nasdaq, and it takes on average 10 days or so to catch up, which isn't very much at all. So that makes me think that there's a potential trade that we could have in here. So next slide is just talking about all the instances that I looked at. And I said, okay, let's narrow down to that time where we're not lagging too much. We're lagging around 2%. What happens going forward? And on the next slide, just kind of completely outlays what the trade idea is here. So there's only been 11 instances of this. Again, SPY, new all-time high, Nasdaq, 2%, so not dramatically below. It's not like we're having tech fall apart or anything. It's lagging a bit. On average, there's about there was 11 of them. All of them, the Nasdaq caught up. Right? That's not a huge sample study, so I just wanted to say, right, it's not thousands of trades that we can go against, but every single time it was the Nasdaq catching up. It was not the SPY kind of catching back down for a median gain of about 3%, and it took, again, around 10 to 13 sessions to get to that high. So if you're bullish on everything, there's a potential catch-up trade here to have. So this is the next slide just kind of talks about, here is the kind of tape that we're in. And it just shows, here's the old high at 746 and roughly where we were when we closed. Again, that gap, the 2.98% gap between the SPY and the Qs potentially could close. So if it's going to be the 11th or the 12th of the 12th time that this happens, then you can kind of build a little bit of a trading strategy around this, where you're going to say, okay, well, I could potentially buy the Qs here and wait for that to break its new high the same way the SPY did and take a little bit of a scalp there. Where to put a stop loss, just looking at this chart, we do have that recent base that we just broke out of yesterday. That's what I like about it. If we break back down into that base, then I'll probably just, knock this one up as being wrong. There's also some option stuff you could do if you wanted with, some spread trading, right? Maybe buy a call here and sell a call a little bit further out of the money or something like that. But the main thing I wanted to show is that not only is it not a bad thing when this seems to happen, there seems to be a potential kind of catch-up trade here. So, this was 27 years worth of data that I ran it on. The shallow gaps are anything that's like less than 1 or 2%, there's no edge there. The deeper gaps, this 2% or more, generally speaking, have a snapback. So now we just got to see, is this going to be 12 of 12, or is this going to be the first one to kind of break that streak? But for me, with those statistics, I think I'm going to buy the Nasdaq on the open here today.
That's a really good look. I think that makes a lot of sense. My question here as well, too, is with the S&P 500 returns, the S&P 500 forward returns, do you think there's an argument for buying both the SPY and the Nasdaq, or do you think it makes sense to pick one or the other? And then off of that, I guess, I know you said you're choosing the Nasdaq in this case. In general, I guess, how would you choose between the two if you've got a decent returns or chance of decent returns either way?
Yeah, and there's going to be, if you take both, you're going to kind of be leveraging into that. If you take the Qs and hope it catches up to new all-time highs, that's the simplest trade. Another more complicated trade is if we're betting that this gap is going to narrow and that the Qs at some point are going to outpace the SPY. For people who want to get kind of real spicy with it, I could see a trade where you buy the Qs and you actually sell the SPY, and you wait for that to converge as well. That's going to be your more market risk neutral trade. So you're not worried about headline events. It just gets a little bit trickier to pull off. And if both of them rip, then you're going to be losing on one leg when you're gaining on another leg. So there's different ways to express the trade based on how much risk you're looking to take.
So another question as well here. I know you follow the equal weight, the RSP. I saw some people in the chat mentioning that once you started on your talk and presentation as well. So I guess my question is, given, the idea that if you're getting both the SPY and the Nasdaq, it could be kind of almost hedging one another. Do you think there's a way to play the RSP here as well? I know that's not necessarily directly what the study is, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, if the Nasdaq and the SPY catch up because the SPY moves lower, then you're going to see that really dramatically in the RSP, because the RSP is essentially the S&P 500, but because it's equally weighted, it's way more on kind of financials and healthcares and things like that. So if everything comes down and the Nasdaq moves up, that means we're having a huge rotation back into tech. So that could be even more dramatic version of that trade. I'm kind of more worried about that just because I don't have the data, and the way I work is, I need to see that data to go. But the easiest way I've noticed to say, is this tech that's leading us higher, or is it just kind of everything else, is just that RSP kind of QQQ relationship. If, the RSP has been making new highs all the time for the last 2 months, where we're just breaking out now and we're just getting close here on the Qs, that shows that rotation was huge into everything else, into the everything else trade. So if we're going to get that rotation back into the trade of the big tech names, then you're going to see that relationship just start to flip.
Thank you very much for going over all of that awesome and insightful data, Mr. Michael Noss of StatsEdgeTrading.com. You can find Michael on our show every Monday and Friday around 8:30 a.m. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk Monday.
Oh.
All right,
a lot of times we go right back up to Joe, like, oh, shoot, we get to... Andre, it's
okay,
absolutely
okay,
fine.
fine.
The crazy thing about it is, what I wanted to say is, almost jokingly, so just buy. Just buy, baby. No, really, the Qs, the idea of just buy the Qs today, what does it even look, even on the daily, sorry, not a daily chart, even on the 15-minute chart, it has this bull flag breakout, breakout yesterday, bull flag, a little continuation sort of pattern. So look, obviously, there's a lot of things that look bullish, like that 180 PLTR looks pretty good. Everything except for Bitcoin looks pretty darn good today. And I guess AMAT. But yeah, let's see if there's any upgrades and downgrades that might help us suss out some interesting names to play. Ooh, I see that downgrade, Joe. I see it.
All right, guys, welcome back. A little bit quieter on the analyst actions front, guys, but a couple of interesting stories here. Sharif, I think you might like this one. We talk about this quite often here on the Midday. We're going to start things off with some downgrades. At the top of our list, we have T-Mobile here, guys. We're down about 0.47%. We'll call it 0.5% here, but we're getting an outperform to a peer perform with no specific target here by Wolf Research. So you're getting the downgrade here, guys, and a couple of issues. The firm believes that the stock's bull case faces pressure. Sharif, you get this from above and below, something that we consistently talk about throughout the Midday. Wolf cites Starlink's expansion could cut into T-Mobile's fixed wireless access growth. So that could be a little bit of an issue here for this specific company and reasoning for this downgrade. Moving forward, guys, let's take a look at Roku. We got a cool story here. We're down about 0.5%, but a rating from overweight to equal weight here. And we're going to get a slight price target cut, $165. That's down from $167. Wells Fargo covering this one. The firm is confident that the pending takeover by Fox with the potential close in the first half of 2027. Wells Fargo also notes Roku's strong quarter matters more to Fox shareholders than it does to Roku's. Now let's look at the other side of things. We're actually going to get an upgrade here on Fox by Wells Fargo with the price target increase to $80. That's up from $65. We're positive 1.8% here this morning, but we're also getting the increase equal weight to overweight. Wells believes Fox is a beat and raise story with Roku acquisition, a growth and cash machine. The firm also sees less NFL risk, which is massive for the corporation, after Fox said it does not see any change to the current contract until the 2030 season. So there's still duration left on this specific. So there's the Roku and Fox story. Last but not least here, guys, a name that has reported the other day, Applied Materials. We're down once again 5.5%, but we're holding our overweight rating, okay? And a price target increase by JP Morgan to $660. That's up from $515, so that's a decent increase. But AMAT reported modest fiscal Q3 beat and a strong Q4 revenue outlook that surpassed estimates. So when you raise guidance, usually typically bullish for the company. The firm also believes that the company's bull thesis remains intact, supported by AI wafer fab equipment demand. So there is a reason for today's upgrades on Applied Material. JP Morgan giving them the nod. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Thanks, Joe. We see it in the chat, everybody. Maybe you're looking at AMAT, one of those upgrades, downgrades. You get a good read on it. You get a good setup, but you got the wrong size. And the truth is, everybody, you've got those skills. Your account's just too small, and Trade Funder's changing that. It's $100,000 for stocks and $25K for options today. You keep 80% and are paid out every single Friday. Never risk your own money. It's $9.99 to start, and you're refunded on your first qualifying payout. You can start in just an hour without any evaluation or background checks. You just get the size that you're looking to trade. Scan the QR code on the screen, visit tradefunder.com and choose stocks or options. I want to shout out to Trade Funder. Ooh, AMAT. What for art thou?
Yeah,
AMAT. But you know what? If this could continue, it's sneaky. It's getting sneakily close back to that 200-period moving average, and I really do think like that's a good level. Oh, we got a super chat about this. Grit and grind, Dad. I like that. Every day, definitely grit. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's too upbeat being a dad to call it a grind. But I don't know. Every day it's busy. But let's talk about that pullback on AMAT. You know, sometimes you can. We used to call it the trifecta when we first started the show. It's like, okay, did you get the trifecta? That's the expectation, beating the top and the bottom, and then beating guidance, right? Everything's good. And sometimes that doesn't matter. The sentiment's going to take you in the other direction. But I feel like this is an opportunity. Like I'm kind of hoping it pushes some other things down for some buys. Doesn't really seem like that's happening today. But I think it's incredibly unlikely that this earnings, call it 3-day rule or however many days it takes to find a low, gets you all the way to the price, like 430 or even that 200-period moving average. That does seem a little bit unlikely. You're talking about dropping $80 from here. I'm not really seeing that, but I've got to think there's going to be there's a level here at about 489 where there was a bit of a wick bottom. I think that's what you look at for just today. But I think this would be a great value off that 200 moving average. I was just looking it up. It still trades a little bit expensive. But any further drop and the 4P gets under $30 here, and then it is a premium to the market. Some of the kind of things that if you already like a stock, you might want to buy. I'm more of a lamb. Lamb's delicious, but LRCX play for myself. And that's not even, I'm a little surprised. I would have thought this would be dipping on sympathy. And this one did bounce off its 200 period moving average. Just a little bit stronger of a chart. The same concept of a trade, however. So I think you got to be patient with AMAT. I don't think there's anything terribly wrong with what you saw out of the report. Just give it a couple of days. But I was hoping you'd see Lamb dip, and then that would be a good buy, but it didn't happen.
What's going on West Palm Beach? SpaceX made me an investor from Trader. Oh, made me an investor from Trader. Yeah, good. Holding patiently, love Trader TV Live. Neil, Sean, thank you for and the entire team. Yeah, thank you so much, West Palm Beach.
I love a beach.
$5. We definitely appreciate all the love there on the show. And yeah, I think SpaceX is a long-term story. I mean, it's a great. We'll start talking about this name again, but it's a great stock to trade, and it's. I think we've proven that. Over and over here on the show. Can't wait for Anthropic to come through late September, early October. That should create some more opportunities for all of us as well. Okay, so I think Tesla right now, look at this. There's a potential break long right here in Tesla. Gap fill, let's go. A nice move down. Obviously not nice if you're long, but it found a bid at 300. Sometimes you're going to look back and be like, wow, that was a pretty easy 10%. Basing at 10, it didn't even give you an opportunity down here at $300. It gave you 1 day, I believe.
No, that's our chart's Fugaze.
This is not ours.
All prices underneath 297 happen in one aftermarket.
Right, that's what I was going to say. So right into there. It gave you just 1 day right into there to maybe look at $300 and then just straight up. And now you're trying to break that through 340. So, I don't mind this at all here for Tesla, potential break long. Let's see. Let me just zoom in exactly here to see what that price is. Yeah, 242. You're there. What are we doing right now? Yeah, okay. So yeah, you're there right now. So Tesla looking like it might be the belle of the ball today, trying to break out through those levels. And we saw it really get going yesterday, right off the open. What a jump spot that was right there. At 328, so that was a pretty good level to look at for, I almost said SpaceX again, for Tesla on the previous day's sort of closing high level of 328. We took that out. So if we do similar math there today, we were already above where we were yesterday. There's that epic move. Actually, that's a different move down. That's at 3 o'clock. Falling right back in. Where's the support? I think you could look for it at 338. If that comes in, who knows what this market's going to do right off the jump. But potentially Tesla, that's already broken through that sort of gap area there. Look to see if it can take out this 343 early and then just keep going and try to fill said gap up to 360 again. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. We'll see what winds up happening with Tesla there, trying to take out some major levels. Yesterday, as I was just saying there, it was 326, right? Closes or gets that high of 341. So it had $15 in it yesterday, and the market, although was okay, it wound up nicely.
It didn't
was pretty quiet. So if Tesla can really get going there today, I think there's a really great opportunity for that. Here's another small cap that looks like. Shout out to Tisha Perkins over there. WETO. I haven't really looked at.
WETO Robotics.
Yeah, WETO.
Cool
WETO
name.
Robotics. $10.
What we got here.
Coming into play here. I can call it up. WETO. This is a Nasdaq name. Neil's going to look up some of the stats on this one.
80
80%.
89% short float with a float of 650,000 shares.
Well, they just split.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's why.
Which is why. Yeah, so they just split right here, WETO. Our charts are showing it right there, but it was 1 for 100. So there, they did 1 for 100 down on August 3rd. So 2 weeks ago, went 1 to 100, and since then it's just been obviously getting crushed. So right there, I guess with a low float, probably a huge short float as well. Thank you, Tisha Perkins, for bringing this one up, man, up to $10. It's a short. There's no doubt this is a short, but it's just a matter of potentially seeing what happens around this $11 mark, right? Like this name, and if anybody wants to bet 20 bucks, this will be $5 by a week today, you know, so it'll be chopped in half by the time a week comes from now. But hey, we're not worried about that. We're worried about where it's going to go today. So look out for $9 breakdown, you know, on WETO. Did we find out if there was news, or does it say anything?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
There's something from Wednesday.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes
like
it just takes a minute to get going.
There's a couple of statements on Wednesday and Monday, but they're just like foreign investor statements.
I mean, the volume's pretty good. It's 19 million shares.
I just, sometimes you get these reverse, what'll happen is that you get a reverse split, like you said, the float gets infinitesimally small, and it becomes easy to soak it up and squeeze it for a bit, and then it starts going. And maybe that happens to Beyond Meat today, right? Like is that even open yet? Okay, so Beyond Meat, it's not even, I guess it's still, Beyond Meat's still halted. They're doing a reverse split effective like today. So at some point, this is going to be trading at $12 or whatever that is. And, you know, you see a squeeze every now and then for a little bit, and then they come back. So this could be a candidate for something along those lines. But
halted.
Yeah, I don't know what the usual standard is, whether it opens up at like 9:15 or like 9:20. It'll be open.
I'm surprised it's not open right now.
I was surprised it wasn't already, but I'm sure it'll be open, you know, sometime before 9:30. But if it can hold on to VWAP, I think that the pattern I've liked is when it tries to go parabolic at the open, it gets a couple of halts up and then loses the bid and gets underneath the volume weighted average price. That's been a pretty good short setup, and then you try it for the rest of the day. Might pay for some locates, but I get the suspicion that with the float as tiny as this, it's probably very expensive to short.
I did add here, Palantir. So here's a sticky note out right now, Apple, SpaceX, DRAM. I did add Palantir to it, and I gave this little chart right here to show yesterday. There's 77s, basically. I mean, 77's up here, but it's these levels that we're going to try to hold. And then there's the break of 180 that, you know, didn't happen. So I wrote down here, we're going to have to wait for a couple minutes, but adding Palantir to the sticky note today, 180 for a possible break and good support down there near 177. The issue with Palantir is you need to give it a minute. You know, so we're going to wait till at least 9:35, hashtag the sticky note out there, to see where we wind up going. So, you know, added a couple names to or one name anyways, to the list there, and I think I like it. So we're going to have to wait to see if Palantir, you know, the other day we had SMCI. It feels like it was a very similar thing, except for SMCI had earnings where we pushed out, and it was, I think it was the number one P&L name for me that day. It was right here. That was yesterday, actually. We should have taken that again yesterday as well. But we took it this day on earnings when it broke through 35. You know, we liked that level that we had seen there, bounced to the downside, then took it out. We had to hold this about, I don't know what it was, 50 cents or $1 against us, and then it just ripped up in closing the day near 38. So it gave you $3. Then yesterday, a very, very similar play happened in SMCI on day 2 of earnings, where we took out that bid there, that offer, I guess, at 38.50 with a strong bid, and then it just ripped up to $42. It was actually a bigger move on day 2 than it was on day 1 after the market opened. The day 1 move was in the post and pre, right? So, and then now today, though, it's not really looking the same thing, right? I mean, where is the levels that we're going to break high side right now? So 39, is it going to be this $40.50? I mean, that seems like it's a little far away. So I'm wondering if SMCI maybe today is a short. I'm not, you know, we don't really want to fight the trend, but if you look to see what we were doing all yesterday, where we kind of gave it up a bit, you know, SMCI could be a retracer down. I do have a good couple of ideas here today. So, you know, stay tuned as this market opens up. We'll see if we can throw some around there again. And wow, you guys really responded a lot to this tweet that I put out here. 15 messages right there. So we have, this guy needs to get blocked because, again, you know, anybody, and remember, there's no Discord official for this business. There's no crypto, there's no nothing. So if anybody messages you from any of our accounts asking for anything, it's just not real. All right, LUNR PL there. So PL is what, Planet Labs? Is that what that is? Yeah, Planet Labs. Okay, so Dave Clark likes that. I'll respond to all these. What's up, Zedlot there? MU for a short. Not bad there. I think that we're going to look at DRAM, and I kind of like the longs today, so we'll talk about that. Okay, so now you're talking my stuff there, Juan. 101.50 on Intel. Okay, then there we go. Gavin and Yusri, you guys might want to meet up. One of you is a short, one of you is Micron to 1,000. Okay, Micron and Micron. So we got a lot of Micron love there. I'm going to respond and tell you guys what I think about some Micron, and then we'll go back over to the desk. It's 8:58 right now. Micron to 1,000. I think that that's very, very possible, obviously, on a day like today, where you have SanDisk going to the upside. You have that AI financing initiative with NVIDIA. I think that's going to help the prices and all that if you can get a little bit of financing under your belt there. So I think Micron does have a good opportunity to get higher. You are looking to break that level. I mean, this is very similar to every single name we've ever looked at in the last little while here, breaking out, possible breakout again. We just looked at Tesla breaking out, looked at Palantir at that 180. We just talked about some SMCI breaks. So yeah, I think this $1,000 is definitely something here on Micron. Talk about a bottom there, the Leo low, and yeah, boom, 750, for Micron, and again, a name that we all liked right there in just a matter of days, up 24% right there. So yeah, good little bottom pick on Micron for anybody that has it. I would favor the longs there, and I have DRAM written down as a long as well. So
the DRAM
good opportunities.
And it's the same. They're all, literally all the same setups. There's a lot of breakouts today, so you have to make sure you have your situational awareness abound at the open, which we all will. But right now, we're going to see some futures and get into our free FREE and new and upgraded watch list as well. So let's get into the open.
I'm calling it the Leopold Low, Neil. You weren't here when I coined that yesterday, but you know what isn't low? All-time highs on the S&P 500 yesterday, ripping above 775 area support. As Adair mentioned today, there is a bit of a divergence here between the SPY and the Nasdaq for the last few weeks. We're looking at 780, guys, right now as our next level of resistance, and it's going to be a simple one today. 775 as support, Adair.
You know what else is simple? Subscribing to our free Trader TV Live watch list. As Neil mentioned, FREE free. How do you subscribe, you may ask? It's super simple. Just click the link in the description of our video, or you can type the URL on your screen. What do you get for free with this watch list? You get a whole bunch of economic data that's going to be in focus. You get earnings and events that have happened or are going to happen. It's all you need to tackle the market every single day, and it's free, so why the heck not? Also, why not look at Reddit here? Because RDDT, certainly not red today for Reddit. They're going to be added to the S&P 500 as of August 18th at the open. It's going to be Tuesday morning. Nice look here for Reddit, and apparently this ad was long awaited as well.
Yeah, Avalon Bay out, Reddit in. It's not a scheduled rebalancing here. It is a transactional based rebalancing. So it's off cycle. So here's the deal. Equity Residential, that's ticker EQR. They're acquiring Avalon Bay Communities, ticker AVB. And it's going to be a combined REIT between those two companies, and they're going to stay on the S&P, under ticker VMRK. Vivemark Residential. So the combined entity will still stay there. They are income paying. So for those who are interested, want to look at that. But this is the second ever pure play social media to find its way into the S&P. Of course, the other one is Meta. They've passed on Snap. They've passed on Pins. Reason is strict market cap and or cumulative gap profitability requirements, which those companies did not meet. So this is the second one ever. And we already know that the majority of the shares of Reddit are still being held by early investors. That means that the public float here is small. We've been seeing a lot more of this. SpaceX, ARM, I'm sure there are many others. What does that mean? That means that the passive buying by some of these index funds is going to be exaggerated. And that's my next point here. So you're going to have the inclusion of Reddit into the S&P creates in passive buying by index funds. And that kind of assuages some of the fears we've had a lot lately about Google AI overviews kind of cannibalizing the click-through rates for Reddit. If you're new to this story, essentially what Google AI overview is doing is it's going into the Reddit pages themselves and it's giving it to you right at the top of the screen. And so when you don't click on the Reddit link, they don't get paid from their advertisers. That's creating a bit of a beef between the two companies.
Yeah, either way, though, I think, as you kind of said, it's a nice vote of confidence for Reddit from the S&P to be added. So we'll have to wait and see how it performs once it's on the SPY. But RDDT in focus. Are you hitting the upvote on this stock today, Neil?
I think I was saying earlier, when you have an addition to the S&P 500, it can be a bit of a closed trade where you're looking for that big, massive imbalance at the end of the day, ideally, and then half the time it doesn't even happen, and maybe there's a trade going into the imbalance. Either way, I feel like this is more of a, let's look at our chips, let's look at our SpaceX, let's look at our, whatever it is that you have on the radar, and I might be thinking about Reddit after we settle down a bit and try to find a long going into the close as opposed to just sort of chasing this gap up here. Now, one of the interesting questions would be who comes next. If you looked at the the betting odds as to who was in second place was, well, obviously it's going to be Reddit going in, but at the time the betting odds had SoFi as the runner-up for the chance to get in the S&P 500, and in third place I believe was like Pure Storage or something. So like there's a couple of names that maybe they get it next quarter that you can have an eye on, and that speculation's been there a while. When I looked technically, it was like the dip buy level that I liked was 169. There's another reason that I don't feel like doing much of anything with Reddit. And again, it could just end up being a big close trade. We've seen time and time again, you get the rally. This one didn't rally going into the inclusion because it was, a company getting bought out and then it just gets thrust in. So you do at least have a situation where there's a better chance of continuation with Reddit. It's not like it ran up for weeks in advance like some others had, like when Uber was going in. Like that had just been running for weeks, and then you get the inclusion, and then it can turn into a bit of a selling event. So this is a wait and see for me on Reddit. I don't think this is a trade at the open. If it gets under 170 or at 170, that's a bit of a different story, because I do expect it will catch a bit at some point and look more interesting in the afternoon. And then the last 10 minutes, they'll be wild. You'll be in the right spot to see the last 10 minutes, because there will be people betting that the imbalance is big. So even if it doesn't come out a buy, it's going to move, because there's going to be a lot of people in it expecting that bump. And if they don't come out a big buy, it's probably even a good short for a couple of minutes there. But yeah, there's a certain stock which is a 99.9% chance to get traded, and this one is a 0.1% chance, and it could be coming up next.
Yeah, we're going to talk here about SpaceX. SPCX certainly not going to the moon right now, but holding up relatively decently, trading higher. Elon Musk, though, 48% stake in SPCX. The value of this and the size of this was just unfathomable. I had to triple check all the numbers I was seeing.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous amount of shares. It's like in the billions, right?
Yes, 6 billion, I think.
6 billion,
yeah.
Huh? And the thing is, Adira, it really does understate his control of the company, because he has these Class B shares here, which are voting shares. So let's talk about this. His 48% equity stake understates functional control, because he has 93.6% of the super voting Class B shares. That's about 10 votes per share held. That gives him a de facto control of 85% of the voting power within this company. And before this went public, we made very clear, this isn't Tesla, right? He controls this company in a way where I think he wishes he would be able to control Tesla, so he could kind of get around some of the shareholder proposals and some of the other issues that he's been having with the board. And look, Adira, it's actually going to grow, because he's got options here. So his economic interest in the company is poised to expand further via unexercised performance-based, they are performance-based, stock options and uninvested restricted share units, RSUs, that are embedded in his compensation package. So this 85% could grow up to 90.
So here's the thing, Sharif, we've been talking about how SpaceX and Tesla could merge. We've also been talking about how, as you just mentioned, he wants that 25% voting control over Tesla. Do you think a merger between the companies would benefit him in that way? Do you think that's maybe the way that he tries to go?
I'd like to see how he structures a merger, right? So when we know he's got control of SpaceX right now, we know he doesn't have control of Tesla in the way that he'd like. A combined company would give him what share of control? I think would have to do a lot, Adira, with the approval he gets of the board and shareholders for the merger, so that a combined company, would he have control of that combined company? Would the Tesla shareholders agree to him having combined control? I think it's going to come down to some legalities and how it's structured.
That's a lot of question marks here. Either way, my only question for Neil and Sean, are you guys trading SpaceX, and how are you planning on trading SpaceX?
We looked at Tesla a little bit earlier, and I thought I liked that break of that 340 that's happening right now on Tesla. And I think I was actually looking at SpaceX, and I put it on the note today. Like, I don't have anything that's as here. What? Tesla plans new Roadster unveiling with a flying stunt. Ooh, the Roadster's pretty hot, man. I like the look of that Roadster. We'll see what the new one looks like there as well. That should be pretty hot. So we'll see what that new Roadster looks like. And I'm excited for the Model YL, the 6-seater. We talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Maybe I'll purchase that. But yeah, so for me, we had that dip down. We had that great short yesterday. Really, the only way I made money yesterday was on that. We did try yesterday. I mean, we had 141 written down as the potential low. It looks like, we are involved in it. And we got stopped out at 140 break, which is crazy because the low of the day is 139.80. So we got stopped out by 20 cents. And normally I do give it a little bit of room, but the problem is it dropped so violently into those lows there of 140 that I don't know what's going to happen there today. So I'm just going to sit here and look at 140. That's all that I really wrote down were these low levels. This is an interesting level here again, 141. So I could see that as being, and we wrote down 141 yesterday. So I think that could be a hold level as well there for SpaceX. I'm not really overly excited, honestly, about it today. Like this 145 break looks interesting. I don't know. I think the best suited is to kind of wait and see if we get some kind of a move. Like that move down in there, if I would have taken maybe less shares, wouldn't have been able to hold it for the backside of that trade. It was very choppy early yesterday, before eventually giving us those tops. So that was at 940, so we could have played off there easily, actually. And then boom to the downside there. And maybe you're playing off this again until it breaks. So I'm just going to wait for SpaceX there today. I'm not super excited about it. And I don't know. So it might be a day where, I'd say maybe a day where we don't trade SpaceX too heavily, but I know I will. Tesla, and there's the break that we talked about, right? And I said 343 break might have been the trade to take. Looks like they're on this Roadster announcement. We just got a little bit of energy in this name here, breaking through 343. So my car's downstairs plugged in. Let's see what the Tesla trade, if it gets plugged in today or not. Looks like a move back into 341 is what I'm looking at for Tesla. So yeah, actually Tesla looks more exciting to me today than SpaceX, especially based on this most recent move up and down. So yeah,
you can't know that bid's gonna come.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I was just looking at it earlier and was just saying that I liked what we were seeing here on this breakout from 340 to the upside. And I was saying that, maybe on Monday we see 360 right there. So we might actually even see that today if they like this news. Remember, biggest cult stock out there, this and Palantir and SpaceX now, definitely with room to run higher is Tesla. So watch out for 341 dip buy. I kind of like that level.
I don't think you'll have to choose between those two very long, in my opinion, because the whole Elon owns the boat is another reason why if they merge, remember, it's SpaceX buying Tesla. That's not some kind of weird coincidence. That's the way it's going to play out. Elon is going to want to have as much control of the combined company as he can. Look, for SpaceX, yesterday the 145 level, it wasn't on the radar outside of the fact that it was the imbalance low. And the imbalance low from yesterday is the 141. So I think that puts it in play. But it showed the 145 at the open. It was just pop once, twice. And then the third time that it held, that was basically just a VWAP, reclaim with a stop at 145. That was the morning short. It played nicely. I took it to like the 42, not really to the low. That's just how we roll. But at the end of the day, if it sets up like this again and shows you that 145 is still a top the way that it did yesterday, just a little bit of patience and you're good to go. So I still think it's going to be on the radar, but if it doesn't get to one of the significant prices, then you don't have to trade it per se. And I think a combination is going to happen. It's a matter of what do Tesla shareholders get, and how much does Elon end up owning of the company? Because if he's going to get that big control, like maybe there has to be a pretty significant premium to combine it. That's where my brain is going with a bit of combination there. Let's go to AMAT. Yeah, we've seen that chart. It's like the only thing that looks bad today is AMAT. Like really? Like everything else is pretty positive except for AMAT.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting too is I was actually going through this report like region by region, and you had really strong revenue growth across the board, just for the company overall and for pretty much all of the regions but China, the one region that you might not be, as caring as much about the growth here, and that was even relatively flat. So yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes with charts why they're to the downside. I'm feeling that when I look at the AMAT report.
Yeah, exactly my thoughts, and it was a really good report for the most part. There were some spending issues, but how can there not be when their demand is through the roof? What are they supposed to do? Not meet demand? So here's what we got: $9.12 billion in revenue, beating the nine on the dot expected by analysts, with EPS coming in at 350, beating the 340 expected. Not a massive beat, but a beat nonetheless. But here's the deal: $1 billion for, this is Q3 for them, by the way. Again, I don't know why. So next quarter, Q4, they're issuing guidance here of $10.25 billion plus or minus $500. That is 51% year-over-year growth on that top line. They're saying EPS is going to come in at around $4 plus or minus 20 pennies. And that is because of a huge sequential step up in DRAM and advanced packaging, which is becoming more and more important. China revenue, let's get to that because you mentioned it. Up 26% year over year for their combined semiconductor systems. However, it is down from multi-year highs where it used to account for about 40%. Now they're saying it's going to grow because they've got new orders coming from China. That is both good and bad because it puts them at the whim of the regulator. If the regulator says you cannot sell a product A, B, or C to China, that revenue number has to get revised. So they're at the whim of the regulator. We've seen this with Lam Research. We've seen this with ASML, where they've had to take hits on their China revenue. Advanced packaging, as I said, huge, 70% year over year, one of their fastest growing segments as it becomes one of the more important parts of the semiconductor stack. And 13 consecutive quarters, Adara, where they increase gross margins year over year. Last but not least, this is kind of the problem here. They're non-operating, they had a segment here called Other. They lost money there, and their debt increased $1.3 billion. They got a $500 million clean room that they're making in Singapore, the market making them pay a little bit here for the CapEx.
Yeah, AMAT spending some money here. Are you guys looking to spend any capital trading AMAT today?
No, I don't think so. But like Shree's right, you can have all of the consecutive quarters you want of growth, but if there's something that people don't want to hear, they just don't want to hear that you're spending more. It's just like whine and complain. It's like, give me a break. And I know it sucks, but that's the environment that we're in. So whether it's 490, which I think is a little bit too shallow, there's no obvious place for the dip buy unless you're talking about 440 or the 200 period moving average with AMAT. I don't know. I said it before. Like I just feel like LRCX. I just mistyped it there. I just feel like Lam looks like a little bit better. And if AMAT had been a good report, this was a breakout play as well. But it's above a breakout level. So I feel like if Lam gets dragged down with AMAT, then you could be getting this one at a higher low support as opposed to buying the dip on AMAT. But then I'd sort of just be talking my own book with that. Don't think AMAT's a trade. I think it's more of a give it a couple of sessions to calm down after what was ultimately a pretty solid report. And I think it would be pretty good value if you got that off the 200 period. Everything's resuming the uptrend. If you can actually catch something at least some kind of a discount in this rally to the Qs getting to the highs apparently, then that's not a bad one. But just give it till next week.
Yeah, I was, we've already sort of talked a little bit about this, especially, well, we're going to talk about SanDisk next. I was going to go right over to DRAM there. But yeah, I think we just sort of talked a little bit about AMAT, not a stock that will be traded. Maybe Adara might trade it on the show today, but 550, it just looked like, again, you ran up. I don't really like this stock anymore because off that Leopold bottom, it might go visit that again. And that's something that you don't really want to see, right? Because this was kind of like false selling. It was forced, so it wasn't based on the company itself. It wasn't based on fundamentals or what the market thought about it or upgrades or downgrades or earnings or anything like that. So it popped back up with the rest of the market. But now that it's trying to make its way back down, now it is based on, company fundamentals and, as you just heard, earnings and whatnot there. So I just a little bit nervous. I think you can wait now. And not only that, you have protection. It's not that I don't like the stock. It's just I think the action will be back into this 440, 460 area again. And then I think it will get bought back up. So you still have about another, let's say, a couple percentage points, 5, 6, 7 percentage points down here into this level. And then, if you zoom back out, every stock, eyelashes, every stock has been, really respected of this 200 period. We haven't, in the space, we haven't really seen a break of that in a long time, right? I mean, the last time we were sort of down here was last year right now. This name was $160 a year ago today. It's $500 today. So let's not cry over spilt milk here. It's a nice move to the downside. Could find a bottom here at 440, but just like all of these stocks, I'll include Marvell, Micron, anything, even the next name that we're going to talk about, has had such epic runs that realistically there are expected pullbacks into some of these levels. So that was a bottom. We could never predicted that with that situational awareness. But now the market has some work to do to potentially correct some of these names. So yeah, AMAT back down to 440 could be an interesting look. And I think that that probably does happen. So I'm going to stay short. I'm not staying short, but my opinion is short on AMAT until we get into some of these levels, right? We can look at Qualcomm and many different names that have similar setups. And I just feel like,
a lot of them look better right now.
Yeah, the push is a little down right now. And I don't really want to, I like it because it's still above the 200 period moving average, but I think you got to sit on your hands a little bit with AMAT and just let this, sort of settle out. And I think you'll be happy with this looking back in a year or so.
SanDisk, one of the top mentioned tickers by our viewers today on the show so far. We talked about this story again or earlier today. I think it's worth discussing again, though, this SNDK, because this doesn't just move SanDisk. This also moves Western Digital, Seagate, Micron, DRAM. Big rally here, buoyed by their investor day yesterday and positive analyst comments after the fact.
Absolutely, and a lot of pricing power as well here, Adair, with 2-to-1 growth here in terms of pricing power relative to volume increases. So they're just able to take advantage of the supply chain bottleneck to really charge what they want. And SSDs as well. So SSDs, obviously storage. It's extremely fast storage made for data centers. Just to give you an idea, that was about 12% of the revenue at this time last year. It now accounts for 38%. I'm not saying that this is going to be a continuous thing, but it feels like this segment for the company could be one that keeps them afloat for a while. And how about the joint venture here with Kioxia? They're building a fab. It's called Fab 7 and Fab 2, clean rooms in Japan. That's going to cost some CapEx, but it does diversify their mode a little bit here. And then with the issue of supply comes the contractual kind of leverage that they have with some of their customers here. They're able to demand prepayments to the tune of $1.9 billion. That gives them a lot of free cash flow. They can do a number of things with that. They can obviously reinvest it in capacity expansion. They can pay it back to shareholders to attract, the income-paying individuals. So good look here for SanDisk and breaking trend on the daily.
And I actually remember them saying on what you just said here about giving money back to shareholders, that's actually something they are trying to do.
Interesting.
So I think that's a really astute observation there. How do you guys feel about SNDK and or more likely DRAM and Micron today?
Yeah, as you said, more likely those two. There was, the SanDisk CEO was speaking on another network. AMD just made a bit of a bump, and I don't wonder if something got said specifically about AMD. But for those watching, AMD just popped about $4. I didn't hear any specific news. I had my earpiece in, and all I heard was AMD spike. So don't really know what's going on yet with advanced micro devices. That actually dumped at the end of the day, like a lot of stocks did. But look, SanDisk, as Free said, it's already breaking trend. So you've got that, like that program buy high of 15.8. I think that's the spot to look back into. I just feel like we're going to be testing some better support levels first on DRAM in the entire group. It's already bounced once off the prior day high and that afternoon bottom. Remember, the entire market sold off at the end of the day. And we see that, like you get those, I call it like the imbalanced lows. Well, DRAM had one right here. I wrote in my note, it said under 57, which just call it 56, 70, 77. But you get into that range, and I like it. But it's more important early on. 58's an over-under. If it just holds 58, the VWAP reclaim is in play as well, because I want to look bullish when the trend is telling you it's just recently breaking a trend on the daily chart, right? Like it's just 2 days of trend break and still some room to go to the 50 period on the daily for DRAM. Keep the ear to the ground on AMD. So I haven't really heard anything for that move.
All right. I mean, I'm a DRAM guy today as well. We have it on here. I haven't had it on the sticky note for too long. So I should say NVDA. Oops, they don't have an NDA, by the way, NVDA. We can edit that. But DRAM 57 long. So I kind of like that level there. You can go check it out also on Instagram as well. You can go find out Instagram. Our Trader TV Live Instagram is having a sort of a reboot as well. My kids, I was just telling Neil, we have 5 games this weekend starting tonight with baseball right there. So we're getting really excited. Dad and ball life over there. But here's all the different stocks and what I'm looking for, overall bias, feels, and all that. You can go check it out right now on Instagram. I'll put that forward for you guys. But I like the DRAM level there at 57. So if you want to have a quick little look, I looked at it yesterday. yesterday's levels and was just thought right into here, 57, 57.40. We closed yesterday basically at that 57 level. So if we zoom back out a little bit, there it is. So it's just trying to hold. That's 56.80. I could see us fall. I mean, we just fell 60 cents right, 40 cents right now. It would take another, 50 or 60 cents, get us into this 57.50 area, and that's where we can sort of start to look. So that's, a level that I'm liking here on the chart, 57 to 57.50 in here. So we'll see what winds up happening with DRAM. We had to talk about Micron. Apple is next. What time is it? 9:24. Okay, so we have about, now we have 45 seconds until the imbalances will come out. Micron just did, put the brakes on today, so we'll have to wait to see. That was 985. I think a takeout of that level makes a lot of sense. The upgrade, I think it's an upgrade from Goldman or something from SNDK today, so up 7%. And really, JP Morgan, they're not going lower, I don't think, today, SNDK. I mean, if anything, that 200 period moving average is at 1,600. Joe showed some options that had 1,700 marked down there for $1.90. I don't know if we get to 1,700. That seems a little high, but who knows, man? I mean, this name could break, and I think we've seen it so many times take out pre-market highs. So I think if you run 1,650, then that's a punch long. Key level, 1,650 break on news. There it goes. So we just right now, even just on the release of the imbalances right now, I'll call those up for you guys in a second and just show them right here. That's going to, that just spiked up there falsely up to 1644 and now back down to 6. So that's like $10 real quick right there. SpaceX catches a bid. Yeah, I don't really see Cerebras yesterday, that's a sell today there. I don't know where SanDisk is on here. Intel with a small little buy. The charts are just taking forever to get going. Ooh, 106, man. That Intel dip buy at 98 might turn out to be a good one there, I feel like. And then we just saw IBIT on there as a small sell as well. So yeah, SanDisk, an interesting name to look at here as the market tries to figure itself out. Only up 0.21 right now is the Nasdaq, so might be a little bit of a slow open here, but we have 4 minutes until we decide exactly where this name's going. Apple a day.
Apple indeed. AAPL and Alibaba working together on some China-specific LLM. So good luck. We already knew the companies were working together, but I think, this could be an interesting opportunity here for AAPL and BABA.
Absolutely. After a multi-year delay, Adair, they get the nod from the Cyberspace Administration of China, who is pretty stringent in their requirements here. So look, this is a pivot from Apple kind of relying on other models and actually trying to do something in-house. And that's exactly what they did here. But the thing is, they're using Baba's infrastructure to basically train their own models. That would be the first time a non-Chinese company has come in and used Chinese infrastructure to build models. Now, it is specifically for China. This model will not be deployed outside the mainland, right? So it's gonna stay there. Now, here's the deal. They're not just entirely relying on Baba. Listen to this, Adair. They're gonna use Qwen, which is of course Alibaba's. They're gonna use it for LLM reasoning, writing tools, and on-device cloud tasks. But Baidu also involved here. What they're gonna use Baidu for, they feel it provides them better search synthesis and contextual database queries. So it's a bit of a hybrid model, two sides to this. And to meet China's very strict data security and personal information protection laws, Apple cannot process anything on their US servers. Everything that is processed for Apple Intelligence, specifically here for Chinese customers, has to be done in China. We've been talking a lot about data sovereignty and wanting to be able to control what information is done with by each individual country. I think this is a perfect example.
Yeah, there was another story with Apple. It was pretty minor, but it happened yesterday. I don't know if you saw anything about this, Sharif, but you had Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, Ted Cruz, Apple CEO Tim Cook, everybody in Houston. Yeah, that was quite the...
I do like that. Look, Apple has to kind of read the writing on the wall. You got to build here. The political winds are changing. If you're not going to build in the United States, you're going to be made to pay. Whether it's this administration or there or the next one, it's going to be that way. Right?
Yeah, interesting look here for AAPL. Are you guys looking to trade this one with 2 minutes to go until the opening bell rings?
I feel like with Apple, if the market heads lower, then this one should be, so I shouldn't say the market. If the chips go lower, then Apple looks like a 306 break because it's been that little counter trend play to the market. 928 hits, so like you get some Nasdaq imbalances, but the only thing that popped up here was actually NU which NU was on earnings. They're actually up on earnings, gapping up pretty high. 900,000 to the buy side if you're watching NU. That was the only imbalance change that we just saw. But Apple's not going to be on top of the radar. I think there's very much alike. I saw a small imbalance. It's actually instantly paired off on Palantir. So it came out, there was a buy imbalance. It's gone now. But this one sets up for a 180 break. And remember yesterday, the workday high was at 177. This one was a continuation yesterday. That's 1 minute to go here. Obviously, we're going to be looking at some DRAM off the open. And SpaceX actually just dropped a couple of dollars there. Maybe it had a sell.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I had that written down on the sticky note here for this Palantir break. So we'll try it a little bit off the open, but just a quarter of a unit, and then we'll wait to see if it comes back in and gives us something here around 178. I mean, this was a level that we added to our note, and hopefully we like it there. 180 breakout on Palantir. Give it back to 177 if we fail break, and that's why I'm only using quarter of a unit. Got to stick to that. Apple, we just talked about it. I already wrote down 305 long. That's already hit. Now it's up to 306. So let's give that a little bit of room today as well. And the SpaceX, the 140, the DRAM, the 57. Thank you to Origenics here, pioneering brain first neurological therapies. So thank you to Ogen for sponsoring the opening bell here right now. So here goes Apple, 306, just dancing around. We don't want to get into anything other than Palantir early. Palantir just dropped off of that 150 or 180 pretty quickly there, right back into 178. So that would have been a great buy zone there. You could have had $1 already, and now it's going to break 180 instantly, and there it goes. So we'll take half of a unit right now on Palantir, and just wait to see what winds up happening here for PLTR. A little dip down on it, so this is why we don't take very many shares, and we'll just wait to see what winds up happening now with PLTR as it makes a downside play into 179 again, watching out for 177 as a possible dip. So both of us here now long Palantir.
Yeah, and just saw that in Palantir, I actually got it before it broke, which is fine. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm only giving it to the even dollar. Because it's a Friday, I want to make sure that we're actually holding that breakout. I'm just staring down SpaceX here. SpaceX, I'm going to cancel the 145. I'm sitting on the offer on 145 on SpaceX, but I don't like that offer anymore. See that 142 reversal? Huge reversal on SpaceX. If it gets up to 45, let it make a top instead of just sitting there and then potentially getting run over. So for me, a breakout is always the same. Breakout, that's my stop. I'm holding it $3 against. My first takes are going to be at that 50 cent and $1, so can't risk 3 if I'm going to take profit in the 50 cent and $1 range. But I will take another shot at it if it tries to hold, because it still looks pretty solid. It's above the volume-weighted average price. Everything about it looks good. DRAM is tanking, however, so that 57 is coming in pretty quickly on DRAM as we speak.
All right. Yeah, let's look at 57 on DRAM again. There, and let's see if we can get a winner on this Palantir. So we like DRAM there at those levels. So yeah, still a little bit of work to do. So we'll give that a little bit of work right there, right now. We'll have to watch out what these futures are doing. Just bouncing back and forth, man. And when we had that retail number, it really didn't cause too much of a spike. There it goes. Oh, I didn't put the stream deck on here. There goes Palantir again. So let's get going, man. It's Palantir time. And we sort of thought that it would be a Palantir kind of day, but it still needs to go. So let's give this a little bit of room now on this trade, right? And so there it goes right now. So far, so good. Hit a bang there on Palantir. Only have one out, though. So need a little bit of work to be done there on PLTR breaking through. We're long in the 50s here, so we'll put another offer in the 90s. See if that can wind up working out for us. But let's just stick to our guns here with PLTR a little bit. Now that we've gotten some out there, we did have a nice little dip buy. Gave us an average price of, I think it was 60s, and now we're 60s, right? So, okay, could fall back in, took a little piece there on PLTR. Just looking for other opportunities, right? So thanks everybody for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I hope you guys are having a good time with us here today. So, yeah, that's Palantir. And then the other one was DRAM we're looking at. I don't know what Apple's doing. SpaceX is kind of doing the same thing as well. Apple, there goes Apple. So that 305 looked to be good. We'll see if it comes back in. I like that Alibaba story with Apple, obviously. So another look there potentially for Apple if we dip back into 305. So yeah, looking to maybe pick up some more here on Palantir. The low is 178.25. So we could definitely have a look back down there if it does get juicy again for some Palantir. But I still like that 177, so maybe it's worth waiting for that and see what hits when that comes through. But that's the benefit of trading a little bit less shares. You don't have to go too crazy, and you can hold just a little bit more with Palantir. So that's so far what I'm looking at there. SanDisk, people saying that that's the end of the downside. I mean, look at the market.
The market's heading lower.
Yeah, so there we go.
DRAM is not cratering's the wrong word, but it is heading down into that. We'll call it the imbalance low from yesterday at 56.80. Just call it underneath 57. And it seems like it wants that 57. But this is a falling knife. This is not a bottoming tail wick and then a bounce back up at all. The first thing that happened, of course, is usual. IBIT goes up. IBIT goes to the prior low, and it goes under VWAP. So the same thing is pretty much every single day this week. I'm going to be short it whenever it does that setup for sure. So I still have the same names that are up there because SpaceX doesn't want that 145 today. Actually, it's already at the 141. So today you had to short it at $144, not $145 off of the open. And it's already testing some of that low. Market's only under VWAP. It's not like it's cratering that far, but for now it's a bit of a sell. So you got to be patient looking for those longs, especially in the memory chip names. Like they're selling off the hardest from what I can see. Like there's nothing really moving down like this is.
Yeah, SpaceX into 141 right there. Yeah, SanDisk having it. And we had that back and forth talk on my Twitter there where we were talking about someone was like Micron long to 1,000. And then someone was like, I like the Micron short play. So far, so good there on the short coming through again on the Nasdaq. So yeah, be patient with all your longs naturally there. We only have a quarter of a unit on Palantir, so we're just going to chill out. And remember, everybody's trades different unit sizes here and everything like that, right? And so you can always ask us how much percentage of the trade we have on or whatever you guys want to do. Okay, so that's Micron. Yeah, I just want to look to see what else. Yesterday's runner was IREN. I would imagine that's coming back today as well. I'd imagine CoreWeave probably coming back. And it looks like that IREN did have, went to $44 there. So it did come back in a little bit there, but still a nice bounce there for IREN making a move finally back there to the upside goes IREN. So we can have a wait to see if this one provides any sort of a value to us today to trade. And then CoreWeave, we're getting into 935. So your boys got to sit up a little bit here and get ready to go because, we are excited to trade again here today. We just got to make sure that we're locked in because now it's 935. So up to 108, back into 107 now is CoreWeave. So an interesting play there. Palantir still hovering around 179. So maybe we got something going on with Palantir at 179. Trying to still give this to 177 as the low. So we'll just hold on and see what winds up happening on that one. So yeah, other than that, Tesla I think was ripping as well earlier in the pre-market. And
so was AMD.
Yeah, so Tesla did make that low of 342 up to 347. So we'll have to see what's happening with Tesla. And SpaceX is coming right in, man. These are those levels yesterday that I liked, 141. We didn't hold. We went to 140. So looks like 140 right now, possible incoming here for SPCX. SpaceX looking at a decent level right there again.
Yeah, it is looking pretty decent on SpaceX. I didn't get a chance to look. I was going to look at AMD. But then there was a bounce off that 57 on DRAM. So it's a first attempted green candle.
Oh man, this market.
Putting in a higher low. But the market just, it accelerated to the downside. Oh, yeah, just got hit on the bid. Just got hit on the bid of IBIT as DRAM was trying to bounce. It did go in the money, like 20 pennies or so, but first offer is not till the $0.50. I'm just going to stop underneath 57. It feels like we're still a little bit heavy, so we're going to get out at that low of the day. It was AMD that I wanted to make sure we're at least covering for you guys. They gave it all up in that pre-market gain. So that actually took out the lows as well. So yeah, not looking good pretty much everywhere that I'm seeing. All right.
As if DRAM goes right to that 57 low. Come on, DRAM.
Imbalance lows.
Oh man, yeah, that's too bad. That's another level that we wrote down there, DRAM, and didn't even look at it really. So good move there by Neil. We're in it now, but wow, DRAM, that was a good look down there at 57. Let's see if it holds. Obviously, if it doesn't, we can get out of it, but we're going to be long DRAM right now and just give it a little bit of a look here. DRAM, Johnny Drama. We wrote this down at 57. That's crazy because we could have definitely took that. But okay, well, whatever. We're long now at 30s, so let's go DRAM and give it a position. Oh, position board doesn't have it up? No, position board incorrect today. Okay, we are restarting the position board, says Andre. So have a look there in a couple minutes, and we'll have our. Oh, there we go. DRAM is now. on there.
Oh, yeah, it's what's
my
right
positions
now.
are now right.
Now
that
it's right.
matters, Andre. But yeah, decent sized position here for me on DRAM.
Yeah, I'm looking VWAP on D. It's 57.80 is the volume. 57.80 to 90 is the volume weighted average price. As DRAM goes higher, obviously, you shouldn't really have to say that, but SNDK is going to be bouncing if that's what you're watching. Micron is likely to be bouncing as well. But the rest of the chip names, the load. Okay, well, NVIDIA is now catching a bit. NVIDIA was testing 225. Even this is starting to catch a bit, so starting to look a little bit better over here. Maybe not for the Nasdaq, but for some of the chips. DRAM just needs to get going for sure. Oh, goodness. One name I forgot about, but just very quickly. Beyond Meat did have the reverse split. The volume's low. For now, it's failed the high. If it breaks down underneath $12, I paid for locates on the off chance it does that, but there's a chance that it might squeeze today on Beyond Meat. So I think it's on the radar just for that opportunity to see these reverse splits. Float gets small, they soak it up, they try to go, but it just failed the high break like a minute or two ago on Beyond Meat. So, by the way, you're not up 300% on Beyond Meat if you own shares.
No, wow, yeah, Beyond Meat. What a good day today to be a Beyond Meat shareholder if you don't understand the way reverse splits work, of course.
Yeah, just celebrate nothing.
All right, so yeah, we're still just hovering around, man. We're flat on this trade right here. Palantir, hoping that this can get back up to the upside. We've been buying these dips, but not buying them too heavily, but we're going to wait to see if there is a pop coming. We'll get it at 10% in the 20s. We'll get out of another 10% up there in the 70s, and then we'll wait to see if it wants to continue to go. This could be a spot here. I don't know why we keep on stopping at 179.20, to be honest with you, but apparently that is what we want to do. So, yeah, a little level there to look at for PLTR. Hopefully more downside to come in this name. And if not, then I'm sorry. Yeah, SpaceX. Okay, so yeah, I didn't even notice this. We're long. We're long.
I didn't even notice. I didn't even see that break 140.
No, we got long at 139. Well, we're long at 139.85.
What the
I'm just going to give this to 139 break. So here it comes and there it goes. So early L there on SpaceX, which is fine, honestly. Yeah, that was a small one. We didn't. It's 940, so we can start to sort of get a little bit aggressive maybe now. But that's a nice little flush out there on SpaceX. Again, same thing as yesterday, right? We took the trade. It didn't work out. We got out and then it battled back. So I don't necessarily want to leave SpaceX alone right now. I think there is some decent opportunities for SPCX here today still. So we'll have a quick look, and if it takes 140 again to the upside, then we can think about getting out of SpaceX. But for right now, yeah, it's looking a little dangerous out here on SPCX. So yeah, keep your shares close today, as the break of 140 might have sparked something downside here on SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely keep it close to the vest on some of these names. We're coming right back in on DRAM. So it looks like it wants to try to reload that 57 level. Where am I on the bid? 22 probably. Sure. Yeah, I always bid 22, don't I? And it just bounced off. It just bounced off 25. I keep trying to get my next fill, and it will not give it to me. We're not going to see 57 even again. It doesn't look like, but it is screaming into the volume weighted average price as it goes. By the way, there might be some. You know what? Maybe there's a little bit of a buy Tesla, sell SpaceX happening here, because this has been trending up and it's continuing to trend up. So I don't wonder if Tesla loses the bid. Could that be a spot? If you're looking at SpaceX, could that be a spot that SpaceX catches one on its own? We have a super chat from a Syrian trader, Tesla to 350. At this rate, at the rate it's going, 10 o'clock, 9:55. That, of course, assumes it can buck the trend of the overall market. The whole market is catching a nice bid in here as we speak. All right, DRAM.
Is DRAM finally
going? It's close to VWAP, but not quite there just yet. I feel like there's another name that we're supposed to be talking about that we're not, but I feel like we're covering as much as we can. Keep the symbols in the chat and make sure, like Dragos, $. That way it's on the visualizer, right? Because look what's up there. All names that we're already talking about here. SpaceX, look, SanDisk, DRAM, same thing, basically. AMAT, I guess no one's really trading AMAT. And that Surge small capper. Yeah, I haven't checked back in on that one. For sure. Yeah, get your symbols in there. UMAC was another big one. Thanks for the super chat on that. That was up 18%. And the quietest 18%, because I don't think it was on our radar this morning.
Oh, quiet. Yeah, you might be right. The quietest 18% you're ever going to see right there. But yeah, DRAM, nice little win there, 30 cents in the money now as we start to take more out on the upside of DRAM. So again, a good one. We don't normally trade it. We wrote down 57. It came in So we took it. We missed the 57, but didn't matter. We still got aggressive with it down there on that low end. So good couple outs there on the upside here for DRAM. I like that stock. All right, so, I mean, I don't know if we like it too much. I mean, it's a nice little battle back from that dip down area there. We're flat on Palantir. I mean, we're still at that 179 area, so we're not really super flat on it yet. We need to get this going back to the upside. But Palantir, a couple dip buys in and around that area of 178.50. We didn't get anything too much lower than that. So, yeah, looking for an opportunity to get some shares, a little more shares in Palantir. However, that upside play that's in the market has created a nice move for PLTR, but still hasn't gotten me back to flat. Oh, wow, there we go, man. Put the money out there for DRAM. Good trade there. It makes its debut, not a debut, but one of the first appearances there on the note today. And there it goes. We should realistically be long at 57 down there, but there goes. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's get it right there for DRAM up into the 90s right now. Should be $1, but we'll take this for now. There goes DRAM. Take another piece out at 91 as we continue to climb higher, man. This market just gives you tons of opportunities, so we'll have to keep on looking for them. SpaceX was a good opportunity until it wasn't, and that is just straight down for SpaceX. But what a move for DRAM.
Yeah, great move for DRAM, so we're going to love it for sure. But, man, you got to ring the register where you can. I'm just keep looking up at what's going on at SPCX, and I'm looking for the curl on it. I took it out at VWAP because that was a target the entire way. Long off 57, risk 25 cents. Try to take it out at the volume weighted average price, but the market is coming back. You got to be able to recognize it. So we got low of the day there on IBIT. As it looked like it was strong, took another leg out. I'm going to tighten the stop up because I don't want this one to get out of hand. If this is going to end up being a reversal day where you take out the top, then I'm moving the stop to just above the volume weighted average price. But yeah, SPCX. All right, this is looking like a bottom tail. Oh, might have just missed it. If you look at where it got to, right into Wednesday's higher low off of the open. So the opening range support on SpaceX was down here at 138, and this does look like a little bit of a mean reversion trade opportunity here on SPCX. What a dump. I wonder if Tesla's going to drop as it bounces.
Yeah, Tesla, interesting name there.
Because then we'll know there's a no is the wrong word. Then we could speculate there's a correlation.
Yeah, we'll wait. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that whole play. I liked Intel today a little bit, but pretty flattish on the day. Naturally, very flat as it comes very back to where we opened. And they had a nice move down and then a nice pop back up. So it seems like I'm sitting here in Palantir, but there's been other names that continue to go upside. I still have 40% of this name. So I'm going to get some more out here I just punched some 79s there on DRAM. Just because we are at VWAP and we did take a nice piece there at 91 as well. So as it's coming back in just a little bit, let's take one more out there at 72. Now just wait to see what winds up happening here with DRAM. So yeah, no problem. Daljit Singh there in the chat wants to say thank you so much for the DRAM talk. And I mean, yeah, again, just go over, check us out on Twitter, on X, on Instagram and all that for these plays every day, right? We also have our morning note that talks about all the names that are in play. So you could definitely have some looks over there for some ideas. But here it comes back in, man. We just did sell some of that DRAM, of course. We're playing with house money. I mean, our stop was going to be around 57. I don't mind getting some more if we do fall back into 57 there today. But okay, here we go. Need to get that. We just got another piece out. Need to get Palantir going. I don't know why this is so stuck there. Another bid. So I was bidding Palantir at 178.37s. It doesn't look like we get that level, but here we go now on PLTR. Maybe finally there's a bid coming through on this name, and we'll wait to see if that bid has any money making opportunities for us right now on PLTR. Need to get this thing to break above. We were only long right here, 178.90, so we would like to see this name try to get going again here. Palantir on the day, a decent opportunity.
Oh, there we go. Thank you for the super chat. What do we have here? DJ Vinny. What up, DJ? 10 a.m. data releases with CPMI, I believe. I thought we had something else too. Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan consumer sentiment. That's all it is.
Yeah, so Michigan consumer sentiment. But that's another 12 minutes. See, now you have me thinking it's 10 o'clock already. I'm freaking out. No, it hasn't been that long. It's only 9:48. It's only 9:48. So remember, nowhere near yesterday's lows yet on SpaceX. That'll be at 139.80. But it has held this 138, which I'm just going to call the opening range support level. Just like for me in DRAM, if it gets to VWAP, we'll be happy with that retracement. I might even say 140. If it gets into the prior low, that should be something to respect. But you know what? If it takes any 1 cent underneath the low of the day, this is an out in my opinion. And Beyond Meat, I'm itching with this one. It just failed the top a second time. This might end up being a bit of a dump on Beyond Meat. They can't squeeze it today. It's just not happening for that bad boy. So yeah, SpaceX, the only new one off of the low there. And let us know what those small cappers you might be trading are. The market is, the Nasdaq's actually gearing to break the high as we speak.
If like only Palantir would go.
Yeah, there we are. Actually, we actually tagged the high just now. We're actually pulling back off of the highs on the market. You know what? If that's the case, I just saw, I should have been reloading at VWAP on IBIT. Market got to the high, and this was putting in a lower high. Yeah, as we're looking at SpaceX, that was a reload of the short, because that's just going to be a continuation play.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Palantir wants to go, but it looks like DRAM does. We just took a huge trade there again. 50, well, not again, same trade. 58.11s, 58.10 there. So that basically gives you off that posted level your dollar. So that was, hopefully it's something that someone's taken over there, as it was a good trade, obviously. And we'll wait to see if it settles down, as Neil just mentioned, at the highs of the day. That WETO that Tisha sponsored earlier there hasn't really been moving too much there, but it was a nice halt back into $9, into the 200 period moving average, then a halt up. So now it's starting to go $11 right there as a high possible there. With it tapping $11 now. We'll have to give that a little bit of a go and see if that's the play or not here on WETO. So far, so good there. Looking to see if it breaks through that 1140. I think that would be like if we halt anywhere around this area, then yeah, there we go, upside. Just split 100 to 1 or something there, and then now starting to go WETO on. Someone said a deal with Qualcomm or something. So
look at the bid of Evaporate.
We could have a look for that. Look at a bit of what? Which stock?
Oh, SpaceX.
Oh, SpaceX.
SpaceX,
that just got killed.
Yeah, like we were just getting that 139.20s, and they just smashed the low. But I put the stop right like a penny underneath. There's really nothing to like a 134 level there. So it's just falling like an absolute rock. So we'll see Tesla. And guess what? Tesla, as that was happening, Tesla does break the highs. Tesla just continues to go. Let's have to fail on SpaceX. It's so, it is what it is. I know the notes said short the stock, but it said at 145. It never got to 145, but just like yesterday, it did show a resistance level at 44. It showed you 45 at the open. It showed you 44 in the pre-market, however, not at the open, but they're getting absolutely smoked. Getting pretty close to wanting that, to just taking a shot on Beyond Meat, but I'm going to give it a little bit of time. There's another halter, but I just double checked it and it's doing absolutely nothing. So the only thing out there looks like that WETO stock, whatever that stock was. And then we have a super chat from Arjun. Thoughts on QXO? QXO. Okay, there's a new one. This is a new one here. It's got a little bit of volume, but I'm not going to pretend to know it. I just know that doesn't look very good. This might be this is exactly what you don't want to see for a breakout trade. Breakout, completely fail, 100% retracement, all the way back to negative and under the lows. Luis would probably say you short this underneath the volume weighted average price, but I don't know the story here. But that's a complete false breakout that you've seen, and it's under the 50 on the daily. It's a false break on every time frame, and it looks even worse on the 15-minute. So like I don't know, Luis would probably want to short this at 15.25. I like IBIT short, and I'm starting to think Beyond Meat might really just be only short, and it's not going to squeeze through the highs. The buyers, they don't care about this one today. I thought it had a chance. It's like 40. I thought it was 40% short, and then it reversed.
I'm surprised there's not more action on that.
Yeah, that's. I'm very surprised there's not more action on Beyond Meat. To be honest with you, it has all the ingredients for all these other stocks that go squeezing, and it's doing literally nothing today.
That's probably what the shareholders are like. What in the heck is going on with Beyond Meat?
Tesla 350
today. Yeah, what a great trade there on Tesla if you got it. SpaceX trying to bottom maybe 137 and change there. Who knows if that's going to be a trade or not? But you know what was a trade? DRAM just went to 58.20. So although we're late to the, only late because I wasn't paying attention, and I don't ever want to put bids down there, but that was 9:35, and we said like look to trade that thing. We also said look to trade some SpaceX or Palantir around 9:35. Palantir really hasn't done anything, so we're just sitting on one unit here, down $1 on one unit. We can afford that, but yeah, for right now, and not much going on. It's too bad because I was just bidding their 25s. You know, it bounced off 26s there. So we should have had a bigger bid down there, or we did have a big bid, but we didn't get filled on it. So that's too bad because we would have had more shares, obviously, at these levels as we sort of absorb this loss right now on it. It's down about $1 right there. We'll take a little bit more in the 60s, but that's too bad. We would have been flat on the trade now if we just got filled. And again, we missed it by 1 penny down there. That is just crazy. But, you know, lesson learned. We should probably be bidding, well, whatever. I've been doing this for 26 years, so it's no big deal. But should have probably been bidding ahead of the quarter, not at the quarter.
Apparently tomorrow is Sharif's 4-year anniversary.
Amazing.
On the show. To the day, apparently, August 15th. It's 4 years for Sharif on the show. I can't believe, like, time has absolutely flown. Caught with eating banana in the hand there. But before we get to the Super Chat T-shirt, we see you in WETO. Reddit now 15%. S&P inclusion effective at the close today, so that's probably going to be an imbalance, but it is already ramping. See, I thought this is another one I thought they would take profit and then it would try to rally. We haven't. Go ahead.
Not as of the close today. It'll be as of the close on Monday.
Oh, so it's not
on Tuesday.
Oh, so it's Tuesday. Oh, well, then forget about the close today. Monday's the better one. I'm so used to these being, if it's going in, then it's a Friday imbalances. So that's, yeah, that sucks. Oh, well, because I was kind of excited for that last 10 minutes. Peter, heyo, U.S. drones up in pre-market. You're short ONDS 950. Yeah, there's obviously some administration news when it comes to drone parts, which is positive for the entire space. Like AVAV was up. So those could be looking a little bit more appealing. And then I believe there it is. That's the one from Tisha Perkins. WETO.
Yeah.
WETOR Robotics. I shouldn't call it WETO. WETOR Robotics. Room to 1431 after light volume gap. 20 to 68 off the daily. That's 20 to 68 will be intense. It's halted upside now. Again, if it holds the low, the first halt up. How many times have we seen this? The tap is 1139. So that's kind of on schedule, right? It catches the bid. The first halt looks pretty good. It's going to break out, or at least attempt to get to the highs after that first halt. Yeah, that is looking pretty solid. WETO. One of the only ones that seems like it's setting up for anything.
Yeah, there was the Sky just halted. SK.
What was the other one?
No, it's nothing. SKYE just halted. JDZG just halted. I don't know. Yeah, to your point, like I don't know what any of these names are here going through. So yeah, I'm still waiting for Palantir again to get going. But there are other names, of course, as SanDisk has been a nice runner there today to the downside and then now back up. So you know, someone said they captured that nice little move there on SanDisk. So that's a nice one. From 1650, it drops $80 down to 1570, and now trying to catch some love is SanDisk back there to the upside. We'll see if we can break eventually that 1650 and bring this whole sector with it, including DRAM. I mean, DRAM has been, you know, finally it's helping me deal with this Palantir trade. SpaceX was just in and out. SpaceX was really not, you know, we sat there at 140, very, very light, quarter of a unit, probably took another quarter there and lost about 75 cents on half a unit. So that to me is nothing. We'll just, sucks to lose, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay losing trade, but that one didn't really hurt. So we were pretty patient with it there. Wondering about, again, you know, 139, watch out for a 25 period break on SpaceX before we even do anything on that one. So that could be a look there. Tesla, yeah, oops, why didn't that change? Tesla, there it is. 350 is right here, right now. So you want to talk about a big level break possibility there. We played the Palantir break at 180, and that was a double loser for both of us. So we'll see what happens with Tesla. Again, Palantir was real early in the day on that.
Friday breakouts at the open, I don't like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we both took it. So yeah, I don't know. But right here, this is not the open though. So maybe,
I mean off the open.
Yeah, with Palantir. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
so both of us had that trade. I was able to get a little bit out as we averaged it back in and made a winner there, and then made a winner here. And now we just wait. We're out 50 cents now on PLTR, hoping for more obviously upside, but it was really DRAM that's carried me today. So that was a good one. We only have, I now have less than, actually about 15% left. I was gonna say less than 10%, but I remember how many shares we had. So I'm gonna get a piece out here. I don't really like breaking through offer 90s. There it goes, we get the 90 fill, but I don't really like the break of the 50 period moving average there. So a couple good outs, obviously a lot above VWAP there. And we have less, now we have 10% left on this name. So yeah, so far so good here on that. And then here comes Palantir, man. That's really too bad because we could have had just a banger of a winner now. But let's just hold on to this and see what happens with Palantir. Getting back to Greensville on this name is going to be nice. But that's really, we just missed it was double our position. So right now we'd have a price of probably 178 flat, which would be much better than where we're sitting here. But let's go Palantir. We're back to flat on the trade. Let's see if it gets going upside. We have University of Michigan sentiment coming in 1 minute, and we'll flip that over to Adara.
Yeah, I'm going to look for the back half of the number, but SpaceX looks like it's trying to put in a second consecutive green candle, but I think I want to wait for the numbers to come out so we don't get some kind of a crazy price shock. Let's go up to the desk with Adara. It's numbers and happening now.
30 seconds away from University of Michigan consumer sentiment, 55, forecast 55.2 prior. This is the preliminary print for August. We are expecting a little bit of a decline here. You're also getting the 5-year inflation expectations, 3.3% forecast, 3.3% prior. 1-year inflation expectation, 4.2% forecast, 4.2% prior. So most of these, pretty much all of these numbers expected to be basically in line with the prior prints that we got. In 5 seconds, we're going to be getting these prints. Let's take a look here at the Nasdaq ahead of the number, pulling back a little bit here from these highs, and should be getting this number at any moment now. 50.6 for expectations versus 55 expected. The expectation number going to be lower. Sentiment, 51, well below the forecast of 55. You've also got here business inventory, 0% below estimates. But yeah, let's get into the 1-year inflation expectation because that's hotter than expected. 4.3% versus 4.2% expected. 5-year in line, 3.3% versus 3.3% expected. So again, guys, cooler sentiment number, hotter inflation number. This combo generally not well received by the market. A little bit of a pickup here from the lows, or not from the lows, but from the most recent pullback, I guess, rather here for the Nasdaq. But again, this number not necessarily seen as super bullish. We'll have to wait and see how the market continues to react. SPCX hanging out here at low of day right now, trying to bounce off that 137 level. No obvious news here beyond we have the reveal of Elon Musk's 48% stake in the company. And another Elon Musk company on watch, TSLA. Apparently there were some reports here coming from the information suggesting a flying roadster demonstration. They actually had some stats to back it up, so we'll wait and see if this does come to pass. But interesting look here for Tesla and SanDisk and all these other memory names also in focus. We know that SanDisk yesterday with its investor day was on watch. These names all pulled back off the open, but trying to bounce a little bit here. We'll send you back over to Sean and Tennille.
Just a stunt. It's not, the car's not going to be flying. It's just going
It'd be hilarious.
Just a stunt. Yeah, Neil just said.
I wonder who the drivers.
Yeah, probably like one of those Daredevil guys.
Like the Red Bull
guy. Imagine. Or anyways, if it's on full self-drive, just do it itself. So that might be.
Oh,
that's probably what they're doing.
That's what they should. 100%. If they're not doing that, that's a wasted opportunity.
We had just a wasted opportunity there on Palantir because Palantir could have got out of Palantir right there at 178.80. There, and then now all of a sudden it's like dropping. They don't like that number, but Palantir just made the high, came right back. Like Palantir's down about $1.60 right there in 2 minutes, so that's a little bit of a brutal move. But we do cash in on DRAM, and there goes DRAM at the highs of the day. So that's a cash register coming through right there. And I'm glad we talked about that. Now it's an official dollar club there on DRAM as we get into the 30s again for that name. And there we go, DRAM, nice upside play here. We're glad to be on that one naturally, as it's nice to have a winner every once in a while. And it's been a good month, but today, not great. We just got to wait for Palantir now. Today's been fine, but just need the Palantir to get going one more time there right now. All right, traders, here's an offer that even your broker isn't giving you. Markets have been extremely active lately. And for traders, this kind of environment creates big opportunity. Big moves means more setups and, of course, more momentum. But to really take advantage of these conditions, you need two things: discipline and access to capital. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the own size of your account, access firm capital, and do not lose your own personal income there. No, don't be afraid of your stop loss too early. You're worried about your own savings. We need to change that. It's called limited risk trading. And you can take advantage of that and the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital at Trade the Pool. So go visit tradethepool.com if you want to get into that prop game right now with your trading. So thank you to Trade the Pool. Scan that QR code there, as we had Steve Tileman on yesterday talking all about how his cat makes his trades from. That might not be a horrible idea. And of course, Cleo. Yeah, that was awesome. We really love to have Steve. So nice to have Steve back on yesterday. But anyways, okay, so that was that one there. Yeah, so there, I mean, DRAM's still going. So wow, thankfully we have this one, and that's all we need for now. But you know, DRAM and then SpaceX would be another look for us. That WETO has not. Oh, it did open. Just opened at 9:56. It was a 10-minute halt. Wow, Tisha and everybody else. Okay, there's cheese in a chair. We'll get to that in a second. That one does break through that 11. Right up to 13, now hovering around again. Look out for a possible break high again, maybe on WETO if this breaks through. Halting level. What? I don't know where the halting level is there again, but
speaking of those small cappers, I'm sick and tired of these MF small cappers in this MF market, everybody.
Okay.
Because this one, no, the stock's MF.
Yeah.
Just saying. I had to. This one is going to tap MF. $17. $12 to 25 to 12 to 17 to 12 to 15 with a tap at 17 bucks. This sucker has been just bouncing back $5 in a row for 3 times now. This is one W pattern that I promise you Steve is not going to be looking at because I don't think you do that on small cappers in the first 30 minutes of the day. But it's another halter. It does look like it's going to be a spicy one, but let's be real. I'm pretty interested in Intel. Intel looks very, very strong here. So there's your bottom. It hit the, I guess we'll call it the imbalance lows, and now just trending higher off of VWAP. So it's a breakout. I think this is a two-way play. The breakout off the opening range is 106, and then there's also VWAP here. So I just found it, so we're late to the 106. But if it comes back into 6, this wick is 105.80-ish, so I'd give it to that, and then wait for the volume-weighted average price. Get my stop in for that. As far as IBIT goes, it's still, I mean, the market's going up and it's holding the bottom of the range. What am I bidding 20s? That should be at in the 30s, not the 20s, the next leg. But it's holding under VWAP for now. So that one still feels like it's the same old story. SpaceX might have just caught the bid as well. But now Intel is going to be on the brain. Want to see if we can get into this before it gets to the high. Hopefully the first available dip takes us into this 106 level here on INTC. So these crazy moves, these small cappers. And then the one that doesn't go is the potential squeeze on Beyond Meat. Naturally. That's how it always is.
Yeah, that is.
You can't anticipate them. It's just whatever happens with small caps.
We have more shares in Palantir here, of course, than DRAM, but DRAM is absolutely on one right there. We just talked about with Trade the Pool there, the volatility that are in the markets, and you saw SanDisk really running upside right there. The safer play than SanDisk, of course, is going to be DRAM. And yeah, it's just, we might have found ourselves a new stock to look at, ladies and gentlemen. DRAM might have just entered into my building right now. Like that, this is exactly the style of trading that we're looking for here. For my style anyways. A nice upside on DRAM, man. Huge upside with very little downside. So, I mean, that's perfect. But what we just got out was a fail there because we'd have to take eventually $1. We wound up losing $1.50. We had about 1 full unit at the end of it, maybe a bit more, maybe 1.5 units. We got to flush ourselves down on Palantir. That we had one opportunity to get out right there and didn't take it. So there it goes down in now. Maybe a break of like if we can get back above 177. The level that we wrote down was 177 long. But unfortunately, right now, we're just hovering and it wants to go lower. I don't know. We said that 180 was going to be a key level. I mean, it's been there a couple times. We both tried to take the long break. Didn't work out. We wound up averaging it into the levels that we thought were going to hold. The good thing about it was not too much. Like that was only a quarter of a unit. Then we built it there. We had about a half a unit. Then built. What you saw what my average price was 178. So at the end of the day, it's a quarter and a half, $1.50, $1.25 of a hit there on Palantir. Sucks to be me, but what can you do there? Didn't make as much money on DRAM as we lost on Palantir, so it'll be red day today. But that's so be it. We just talked about having sort of a great run this month. And I said yesterday, remember when I mentioned that, it's like knock on wood. We'll be back, but so far a little bit of a sketchy start there today. But we're glad we have one stock that worked and then two that didn't, both SpaceX and Palantir on the longs. DRAM worked out, the other two didn't, as the market just trying to figure itself out right now.
Yeah, the Qs cannot.
Although I don't mind Palantir.
They just can't break this high, man. We just got there again and then double tapped the tops. Didn't even get to the highs actually on the Qs, which that'll bring it back over to like look at the reversal. Like Intel went through the highs as well. So back at 106, 105.80. If that goes, then you have to wait for the volume weighted average price. It didn't quite get to yesterday's highs, but that's one hefty reversal. And I missed IBIT again on the reload. IBIT every single time it goes into VWAP, it does the topping tail, I get on the offer, and then it starts coming back in. So I'm just gonna leave it in this time because I feel like the only way to catch the fill is to just get run over sometimes. Just let it come through you like we just did with Intel here. But again, I think waiting for VWAP to make more sense. If we're not taking out fresh highs, I feel like we just keep taking the paper cuts. And SpaceX, I don't want to try it 3 times. But I feel like it's worth 3 shots on a reversion off the low. We've only taken the 1 so far. This is a pretty good, it's a decent green bottom, but the volume off the low isn't that big. So I'm hoping there's a bottoming tail candle with like a bigger volume candle that at least takes out the opening range. And then I think that could be the spot to look for the long on SpaceX. That's just an idea, right? Like bottoming tail candle, I prefer it if it has a lot of volume on it. It doesn't have to, but as it breaks the low, if it's a huge volume spike, that'd be the next shot over there in SpaceX, if we can get it.
Yeah, still looking for that 25 period break on that one. So we have now less than 5% left of DRAM. So yeah, it's been a good ride, man. I mean, good outs over there. Let's have to see if anything else is halting. AEHL, maybe a recent halter here to look at. Bang, 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 all the way to the upside. AEHL just halting now. It looks like for the first time, although it has some gap fills up there. Decent volume on AEHL trying to break higher there. Yeah, Neil just had that MF thing. Did we get to that cheese in a chair super chat? I wasn't even sure.
I thought we did.
Okay, yeah, maybe we did. Okay, so.
Well, maybe we didn't.
I don't think we did. Good morning, thick cut bacon lovers. I've been getting my freak on for recon. Okay, in the precious metals sector, and it looks like the golden horse is starting to get back into the market. So my freak on for recon. That's a stock?
Yeah, reconnaissance. Like that's what they like in like when you're staking out something. Like staking out the sector.
Oh,
right.
Like,
Oh,
cannot be
Okay, precious metals. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
you know, looking at that sort of breakout that's been happening there in gold, and we looked at a little bit of silver as well. Let's check out COPX. Let's see what copper's doing right now. Not that this is a precious metal, but we can see what copper's doing right there. Maybe the other way around. No, okay, copper's still okay. They're not really breaking out or doing too much on COPX, but is gold upside today? I mean, the market's flat, so I could see gold maybe finding a little bit. Moving the other couple days there on the bond market action. Yeah, gold today, yeah, up 1%. So that's going to be, it looks like it's a pretty safe place right now to park some of that cash on GLD. So we'll have a quick look if there's some tradable options and tradable levels there on GLD. 403.50 has been the high. Yeah, just on a 5-minute chart, a little bit longer of a period. You know, bringing back down into 401.50 or 200 period moving average could be something there for this name as well. So we'll wait to see what's going on with GLD today. But yeah, up 1%, good look. And then SLV on the Amex, a good way of looking at silver. So thank you for bringing all of this up to our attention there. Yeah, up 2%. So, I mean, we're looking at equities here, but it does look like some of these metal names are starting to get going as well.
Yeah, where's Raheem?
Good look over there.
Where's Raheem when you need him to give us some miners that we can be engaged with? I know he'll be here next week.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like every other week we get Raheem, because I'm curious as for some like maybe Canadian junior miners, because I think it's a good bull run for gold right now, and I think the miners can just give you a little bit of extra juice if you find them, and then some of them have dividends, which you park in gold, you're not going to get anything. It has to appreciate.
Better to sometimes take the actual.
Which is one of the things I don't love about it, for sure. All right, SpaceX just did a bottom tail. It wasn't a huge volume candle on the low, but it's a pretty good bottoming tail candle. So the approach I'll have is, because it wasn't the huge volume, I'm not going to give it to the low. I'm going to give it to this prior bar. So like tighter risk because it didn't really fit the parameter of having that big volume bottom that we were expecting. For sure, the only update is this time I did get filled at VWAP. So I bet for now is doing the consolidation, but it's done this before. It's like a bit of a slow grind, and then it just falls off a cliff. I feel like the market is holding it up a bit here. Like the fact that the Qs won't do anything, like this is the Nasdaq. It's an absolute choppy mess. On the 15-minute, all we've done is fail the low, like false break at the bottom, get to the top, do nothing. So it's kind of sort of trending down, but really just consolidating. If the Nasdaq breaks down, I think IBIT dumps all over itself, and at least it's weak enough that there's a decent chance that it could still dump even if the market goes up, because it's been a relatively weak name. But everything else, like it's just so choppy out there. I look at NVIDIA, it's pretty choppy. Right? Like it didn't break the low, it broke the high. It wants to get above VWAP, but it can't. It's just a heck of a lot that's, I'd say, just kind of undetermined as to which way it wants to go. It makes it tricky to try to figure out what the market wants to do.
Yeah, no, this has been a little bit of a tricky day. I mean, the market's not doing anything.
Not doing anything. We
started the day off, with the tweet this market ain't doing anything today. And I think like we're going to be close to right. I mean, there's going to be lots of names. I mean, there's our DRAM 57 long. I mean, that's still $1 in the money. And we definitely like, or more than that, we definitely like that trade here. But here it is. Looks to be a slow day here in the market is what we started off with earlier today. And it seems like that is temporarily going to be the case anyways in this market. There goes SpaceX to the downside again, 137.50. Its low is 137, so maybe some bounce off spots in and around there for SpaceX, but it looks like it's trying to go a little lower right now as well. We got a little bit back into Palantir just because I'd hate for this one to not, or to, I guess, get going the other way. And all of a sudden I don't have it again as we waited for for Palantir to get going off 177. So we'll test it a little bit. We are at 177.10s here, as you can see. So, needs to get going a little bit for us to put some money in our pocket with this trade. And of course, that's going to be that's going to be Palantir. Like the stock, but don't love the action that we've seen today on that. And we did see a dump off there from 180 today. And that was the marker that we were worried about. That AEHL, excuse me, seems like it wants to bounce around again here. So the halt has happened at 10.12. So halted again there, opened, halted up higher. Now you're tapping $7 for everybody interested in AEHL right now. That's a tapper of 7. So that's not great. If you're short, it's great if you're long. I hope some of you guys are. The other one that was at WETO, so Tisha, you mentioned that one. It looks like it's kind of at day's low right now. So $9, again, a decent level there for WETO coming back into play here, $9. So SpaceX is consolidating right now. Neil's in that one. I'm trying to think about this as well. Bouncing off of its 25-period moving average now is SpaceX. So could be a long developing here in SPCX, I'm thinking, but almost want to give it a second if it can break through 38s. Might be a good trade there on SpaceX.
Yeah, I'm looking for once it breaks 38s, the prior bounce level is going to be the first out, and then VWAP next, but tighter stop this time, right? Like actually, I shouldn't say tighter stop this time because we stopped at like right underneath that low before. If it can't hold the $0.50, I'm just underneath that. It just does not seem to want to cooperate here at all today. So it's just kind of disappointing. Akora in the chat, yeah, there's a name that we didn't talk about today. And because this is Bizarro World, Meta is up today and wanting to break 600 again, which, hey, great for Meta. That hasn't really been the case recently, but today it looks pretty good. Color me shocked. I don't think it's not in many people's radars today. I don't think Meta would have been or why it would be on anybody's radar today. But it is going higher, so it looks good. I wish we were in that one long, but again, you got to go for the ones that are catalysts at the end of the day. See, tighter stop. This is why I'm not giving it to the low. I think every time I'm now taking SpaceX, it's like try to get in and risk less than 50 pennies to get the move. Because if you give it the wider stop today, if it's wrong, it's just going to run it. So you just lose an extra. In this case, it would have been an extra 60 or 70 pennies for almost no reason. Like, look, the second we stop out and at like 39,
we should be going short.
It's like 70 cents lower almost instantly. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, we should be going short on SpaceX. I think it's 136.50s right now.
They're dumping it.
Yeah, they're again. So they're dumping that one as well. We'll have to wait to see if there is any sort of a comeback here for SpaceX. There may not be right now, but yeah, dump city on that one. All right, man. We keep on talking about Palantir because it's a stock that I'm in, but it hasn't really done anything. So waiting to see if Palantir gives a little bit of an upside play. Now we're long right here at 177. Going to give this one 50 cents and tighten up our stop on this next round of trading here on PLTR, as it's been a little bit of a nasty rider here for that one today, just downside only. Someone in the chat there said Intel was dumping, so we can have, wow. Yeah, 107 down to 104. There goes Intel.
Everything.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we only have, we have less than 5% of DRAM. We talked about that, as this has really come back in quite nicely as well. So yeah, maybe this whole Intel DRAM situation is giving us some scare there as Intel comes back in. Probably SNDK. I might as well just get out of DRAM there. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be, the biggest stock. I have the biggest loser of the day, of course, on Palantir. 1620 right there, maybe on SNDK. Potential little VWAP action there at 1620 for SanDisk. You could get a little bit of a trade bounce off of that as well. So, could be something down there. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. We'll wait to see if that is what's going on over there. Amazon. Okay, Amazon on a move higher right now against this market. So that just popped on the board as well. Boom, there goes Amazon nicely cooking there. We talked about that Mag 7 ETF you can get involved with. Amazon doing real well to the upside right there as well. So I think it was Google. Was it Apple? Apple, we wanted 304 today or 305. So this might be a safer play because it's not really moving around. And then I did hear that Google.
It's trying to go.
Yeah, 348, 350 for Google. So that's nice. We like that one. And here goes Palantir back to life a little bit. So maybe the market will start to breathe itself some upside plays as we maybe have gotten hit. Bounce off the TQs, off the lows there for the Nasdaq. Nasdaq going green to red right now, so that's never the greatest look for stocks. But we're trying to see if we can get a nice little bounce back there in Palantir, out some more at 30. Let's see if we get an upside play now in PLTR. It's Adara over at the big desk with a little small cap recap action.
Let's start here with Capricor. CAPR did have a catalyst missing EPS estimates for Q2, but they also did have some positive stuff here as well. They announced some updates to some of their treatments. That was well received by the market, so you do have this move higher here in CAPR. $430 million market cap. This name is in the Russell 2000 with a 30.5% short float. We'll also take a look here at, sorry for that, guys, SurgePays, SURG. This name right now trying to curl a little bit here, beat on EPS and on sales, including posting an unexpected profit for Q2 2026. This is another small cap earnings play, $9 million market cap, 11.5 million % short float, 16 million share float. Last but not least, the oft-mentioned WETO, or robotics, or WETO. No news on this, but you do have a $10 million market cap and 860,000 share float, so very small float. No notable short float here, though, for WETO. And with that, we're going to send you back over to Sean and Neil, but right now, just Sean.
Yeah, just me right now. We're going to just continue. Thanks for the small cap looker there. MF actually, the most recent halt, now just opened back up 10 minutes ago. 19. We did have some talk there. Neil was talking about some MF earlier as well. S&P now negative. ES. That's the ES, the S&P, and the Nasdaq both negative as well. But that's not stopping. I mean, Palantir's going up, so that's nice. We just get a 40 fill there on PLTR, so 38's actually. So here we go, man. like again, if we just wait for the 177 marker, but we got caught a little bit at the 180, and then I thought it was going to hold the 200 period. It didn't. So now we're just kind of stuck, like hoping and waiting that something might happen with PLTR there. But it was a nice move to the upside on Amazon that we just talked about. I want everyone, if you're here with us right now, I'm going to refresh to see how many viewers are with us. We want to say thank you to everybody today. We actually have to look at Reddit. We didn't look at Reddit yet today. We did forget about it. 729 likes. Thank you so much. 8,600 of you with us. So that's great. That's actually a really nice number. We like that one for 10:30 right now. RDDT, Reddit. Okay, so inclusion into the S&P 500, always a nice boon to get that. And yeah, boom, 174 up to 180. Sometimes you see the pullback on the day after the announcement, but this was something that wasn't really expected. So, you know, upside move. I mean, maybe Reddit was expected, but, you know, the timing of it. So there's a nice move up to 184 and just giving everybody an out there on Reddit. So I'm not in it, but I like the stock. So you might have a little bit of a look here as you've come up into 184 and some past areas that we've dumped off of before as well. So 184, something to think about there on Reddit as we move a little bit lower. Well, we're moving higher now, but the stock has moved lower. So just think about it if you're in that name. We just touched 184 and we are moving lower off that level right now. So I think you can probably get some Reddit out if you get back up to 184, if you're playing off of some of those levels. SpaceX still 136 and looking to go lower now.
Yeah, where you can also find some information on Reddit and other names is in Shreve's morning note. The research note is available every single day that he's here, and it's only $5 a month. I like to call it 25 cents per trading day. So you flip a quarter in and join that membership, and then you're able to get this. You get a little bit more than that, though. You get the emojis, which is always fun. I mean, come on, who doesn't like that as well? Custom emojis, loyalty badges. There's some members-only videos as well. But I think the highlight, of course, is going to be the research note. You got Reddit. AMAT earnings will be in there. It's always double-digit pages that you can peruse through. So the work is done for you, so you can jump into that, everybody. And every time we do this, I always want to thank and give a big shout-out to everybody that gifts memberships, but specifically I know Casey and a few others have been very kind in gifting memberships. So if you ever want to receive when somebody gifts the memberships, you've got to be in the chat to do so. So you have to hit the subscribe button to join the chat, and then you can converse with us, ask questions, do whatever you want. But also remember, you've got to select receive gifts. I think accept or receive gifts, whichever one it is, and then you're eligible because it just doles out. If the 10 memberships are gifted, YouTube just doles it out to 10 random people that are active in the chat. So if you're not active in the chat, you don't have a chance to be able to get it. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. The market, not to tell you, remember we were saying it was a little bit indecisive? Well, it's looking obviously more decisive now to the downside. Like the bleed continues here. SpaceX lower. Now all of a sudden, what was strong, like DRAM, trying to put in a higher low. Like the structure of this doesn't look bad. It did one reversion to VWAP for me. I like reversion trades. That's why I've tried SpaceX twice. I like a mean reversion to the volume weighted average price. It's just I always love the risk to reward of that type of a trade. But ideally, you want to put in a higher low. And the reason you want to put in, what I like is the market's hitting the lows. This can put in a higher low so that if the Nasdaq bounces off support, then you can grab something which is relatively strong. To me, that's always going to be a bit of a key. Relative strength, but it's not there yet. Trend break, VWAP regain, both of those things can come into play, at least for myself. A lot of other names are looking, I don't know, kind of hairy as we speak, but not AMD. Like, this is wild because they might have hinted that something was up with AMD when at 918, it randomly just shot out of a cannon. Now look at it. Like, AMD is completely leading the market for sure. And you know, I'm reminded because the people in the chat are saying, look at SNDK versus Micron versus DRAM. SNDK's at VWAP. Micron's underneath. So there's probably a little bit more strength to SNDK. And I feel like we never even mention SK Hynix anymore, which is not fair. SK Hynix is good too, but it's weaker than both of them as it's heading to the low. So I think you'd favor short in SK Hynix if you're looking in that direction, but I'm not really. I might get the third VWAP reload here on IBIT. It's like the only thing that's been like a just sit in it and forget it. But you know what? I just talked about how if something's making a higher low while the market's tanking, well, this is trying to reload me when the market's at the low and it's bouncing. Let's get off the offer here. Because this breaking a downtrend while the market's heading lower means IBIT could be turning suddenly relatively strong. And so just got to read it in real time, respect that, tighten the stop from here, and stop it out really tight, and actually think about a reversal in IBIT. Yeah, I might have to flip the script here because the market's breaking lows, and this is the one day that IBIT decides it doesn't want to fall all over itself. So if it holds VWAP, I'll just re-enter here and reload it a bit lower. But if it breaks VWAP, this suddenly looks like a bit of a reversal play over in IBIT. But great shout out and look on AMD.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes that pre-market money knows a little something. Everything fell at the open, but man, Advanced Micro Device up 4% into what is now a red market. It wasn't a red market before, but what is now a red market.
Yeah, I mean the Nasdaq now falling pretty nicely into the downside. I'm, just on that note here, I feel like we should take a little bit more out of Palantir. Like it's just bouncing off this 30 level. It's not having a great day here. I mean, can it actually get going if this market continues to go lower? I mean, shout out to everybody that hit that TQQ trade there. I saw some people in the chat, or even just the futures in general, as we'll go back to the futures again. That was a decent break. Okay, whatever. You guys know I'm not going to keep talking about Palantir. Let's go over to the futures quickly here on the TQs. So, yeah, good move there on, I was going to say on, I mean, the break that I was talking about was going to be VWAP, but it was pretty choppy there. It didn't really have a break. It actually just came back up into it and then fell off of VWAP there. So there's something to be said about how choppy it was, as Neil just said, like maybe the money in the morning there, but pretty choppy early there on TQs and then whoosh down to the downside there right now. So that's creating a little bit of a bottom to come in there on the TQs. That must be Fabian over there who's doing that. But yeah, right into there, 76 could be a little low, 76.50. I like that look, Fabian, on that one. So we'll have to wait to see if the TQs does have that low around 76.50. Amazon, I think there's a story about Amazon there, but they just went up and then right back down in. And look at Amazon right now, taking out also the day's low. So that's not having a good move of it as well there on Amazon. We just took out some more on Palantir, but this is also near the lows, which makes me think Apple, yes, Miss A?
Yeah, I was seeing a report here. Joshua Kushner, Thrive Capital invests $215 million in Amazon from Bloomberg. Now, apparently, Joshua Kushner, I was actually just reading earlier this week. I'd never heard of him until earlier this week. He and Bob Iger, former Disney CEO, worked together to apparently try to buy the LA Lakers. So in context with that, $215 million in Amazon doesn't feel like that much, but this is through his firm. So if I get more context, I'll let you know.
The Dodgers.
Yeah, the guy, that Walter guy?
Yeah. They're saying he might have to sell the Dodgers. And
why is he in so much trouble? It's tax.
He has this huge tax burden. He sold the Lakers, and he might not have enough money still. So if he has to sell the Dodgers.
But the Bussy, I mean, he wasn't the Lakers. What, he owns the Lakers now too, or?
Well, I don't know who. I forget who bought it off.
Oh, okay.
Either way, his stake. There's a weird clause in Ohtani's contract that if he's not the owner, Ohtani can opt out.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So
how does he get paid then, Ohtani?
I don't know what the heck's gonna happen, but
okay.
This dude has over $20 billion tax bill.
Yeah, Ohtani doesn't have to worry too much about
that. That's not chump
payments.
Change. Yeah, what's happening with Broadcom? Everyone in the chat.
Did Tesla is Broadcom going? Did Tesla finally break 350?
Down.
Oh, Tesla's going down. Oh, Broadcom's going down. Yeah. Look at Tesla, by the way. It does break 350, goes to 351, and now that is downside love as well for some Tesla. So you might be able to pick up something down on the low side of things here for TSLA right now at 345. That could be something. SpaceX looks like it might have found a bottom there. We tried, that was early, then we tried 137. That didn't work. So we lost that as well. It goes on to 136, turns off of, maybe the real break has to be this 50-period moving average, but yeah, today, SpaceX down 3%. It feels like it's down a lot more just because of some of the action that it's had on it. But yeah, SpaceX can't find a bid either. Apple is sort of at our levels now. It's like I'm already in Palantir, and I feel like the market's a short. So do we even want to buy Apple down at some of these levels. It might be worth a little bit of a shot. I mean, it's only right now getting to green now. Getting red now. Market's been red for a couple minutes. Anyways, Apple off here, 304.50 might be a play. We have written down 304, so it might be a little bit more prudent to give that a little bit more run time to the downside before we start to buy that one up. And is there any actionable trades in energy today? I mean, yeah, as the market goes down, it looks like energy catching a bid there. We don't have any, true stories, but over the weekend, anything could happen there. So energy and oil could be something else there. That AEHL just reopened again. So this one, flying around, finding a base around 650. AEHL back open now. So shout out to Tisha and everybody else looking at this one. But yeah, Broadcom down 5%.
Shout out to Yeti. It's too good.
It's too good. It's too hot,
I'm like burning my tongue trying to drink this coffee.
Yeah, be careful.
Shout out to the Birdman. I do the bird call sign if I could. I feel like Joe can do it. Thank you for the advice on Wix, of course. Taking profit on Wix due to the incoming to the 200 period moving average on the daily. You bought 45, sold 75. This is where the whole community pays it forward because, and I'll say it every single time this example comes up. Shout out to Brian Shannon for mentioning this to me. If it has a downward sloping 200 period moving average, it's telling you that it's in a downtrend, in a long-term downtrend. So it just changes the way that I look at taking out profit on any swing trade where it's in that precipitous of a downtrend. If it's an upward one, then it's easier to hold for the moon. But when it gets to a resistance spot on a downward sloping 200 period moving average, I'm not saying it works 100% of the time, but it kind of saves you from not taking profit on something which is stunk.
Just went down.
Yeah, SpaceX. I looked over. You said Palantir went down. I looked up, and SpaceX just every. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is going back into the low. Said I would take 3 shots at it. It's not time. It's not time just yet on SpaceX. How's AMD doing? AMD's built differently today. It's just in a whole different world. It just broke the highs another time here. So yeah, I guess AMD is the one that's trying to go. But I'm like, do I reverse an IBIT now? It's above VWAP and the market's at the low. And everything is telling me that I should reverse. It just bottom wicked in the other direction. So I feel like
maybe a reversal is right.
Yeah, but if this is all of a sudden, gimme. My stop's actually above 50. So ideally, if it gives me the out here before it even breaks the stop, I'll take it and maybe just use the stop to reverse into a long position there. So I'll get out, but I don't want to get into the long unless it breaks out above 50. But keep in mind, you just have to sort of read the room. Every day when the markets looked okay, Bitcoin has been trash, and now all of a sudden when the market's at the bottom, this wants to go up. So I haven't reversed yet. I'd love to see it break above the $0.50 to give a bit of a confirmation. But with the market weak, all of a sudden this is counter trend. So at least being out of it makes a little bit of sense to me. Let's go to Adara at the desk.
This is a quick, brief interlude, if you will. We were talking about the whole situation with Amazon Catalyst, if there was one. This guy is Josh Kushner. Thank you for the person in the chat who mentioned to me that he is Jared Kushner's brother. So again, Jared Kushner, son-in-law of President Trump. There is a tangential by marriage White House connection here for our friend Josh Kushner. Josh Kushner has mentioned his Thrive Capital bought $250 million worth of Amazon stock. Interesting look here. And then, of course, he also teamed up with Bob Iger to buy the Lakers. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention this because I thought it was pretty interesting. And thanks again to the person in the chat for telling me whose brother he is. Back to you.
No.
We didn't get anything on AMD, Adara, because AMD is, Neil just brought it. I mean, he's been talking about it, and I've just mentioned it to me. I was like, okay, I'm actually going to call it up because I've been obsessed with it.
The only thing I can think is that the SanDisk CEO was on
Goose eggs.
He was on CNBC Live at the moment when AMD went crazy. So whether or not something got said, it feels like that could have been the cause.
Adara's probably right.
But I don't want to, I didn't want to say that at the, all I said was, he happens to be on and maybe. Because look at this. This is what AMD did, not the imbalances, because it's 918. This is not the imbalances. It's just on its own, it does this, and all of a sudden you have the market weak, and this is blasting higher.
There's obviously a program.
Obviously,
there's
there's a there
going right now.
There's a there. There's something there.
Yeah, and the market is not doing anything here, and AMD is just this to me is. I don't know, man.
The
I mean, we
trap?
haven't been making it. Yeah, like we haven't been making the right calls today. But this one to
I
me
feel
is
like-
starting to look a little bit like that, man. Like there's something going on right there with AMD. Needless to say,
As if there's no
up
story.
6% now. I mean, I had sold this one at an average price of 540 and thought we did, or I think it was 540, and did pretty good overall. And yeah, because we got some five. Yeah, that's right. We got some five. We sold bad. We sold that 498 or whatever that one day, and then we just bounced like right back up, and we got some. Yeah, it was 555 or 560. I think our average price must have been around 530, but this name just continues to go higher. Just real quick, a new position. I've got Whoa, that's loud. I've got Apple here. You know, I wanted to play it off 304.50. Look, if it wants to go down, fine, but these are levels that I don't find horrible down here for Apple. It's been baselining. Maybe the market does have some get up in it. It's only down 0.8. Like it feels like the market's down more than it actually is, but that's what I feel like anyways. So we're going to hold on and see what winds up happening there. If we get something near 305, which it's trying to get up to right now, we'll take a little bit out of Apple if it can get going, and then that would be the 25 period moving average. And then if we can get something at the 200, then that would be great as well. But for right now, Apple long flat right now, 304.80s. That's where we're long on Apple, trying to give this one a little bit of work. And then just honestly, Palantir, still long that one, trying to give that one some room. It has broken below 177 now, so that's a problem. AMD maybe pulling back now, just broke back down through 510 again. Advanced Micro Devices, all right. Small cap name here. Neil's got it up. Ban L.
But here,
560.
Birdman, this is about as low volume as I've ever seen. It's up 28%. It's up 30% today. You're in at 899. Where's your out? Where do you take profit? Well, if anybody hits the offer, this thing is going down. It's done 48,000 shares on the entirety of the session. 48,000 shares. It's 1040.
It's not that many.
That's not a lot of shares. So I can't. There's no levels to do technical analysis on it. It's got a 20-cent spread for a $9 stock. And like anytime, like look at this volume, look at these volume candles. Like someone hits it for a few thousand shares, it gives up the entirety of the move. So it's really difficult. There's really nothing I could say. There's no levels out there to look at. You can't really hit the bid with anything. It's going to flush the stock. Again, I don't really know. Sorry, it's such a low volume one that you can't really do much technical analysis on it. Sorry to say, but that's just the truth for me. Let's go to Adara, so I can give you a better answer, but I gotta keep it real. I can't just make shit up. Let's go to Adara. I believe it's Sector Watch.
Yeah, this is an odd, sad little board. Before we get to that board, I want to mention I was just watching back the David Geckler, CEO of SanDisk, interview with CNBC. They only have a third of it available for free for whatever reason, but he has not mentioned anything close to AMD as of yet. So I'm tempted to think unless something is in the premium, longer portion of it that mentions AMD, I don't think he will. He just talked a lot about AI and a lot about how the company has their new business strategy and they're going to be a new business. Lots of pumping himself up is pretty much this whole interview. But let's take a look here at this sector board because lots of weakness here in health tech. Tech services not looking too good here, although Microsoft, Google, and Meta, the three Make Sevens, actually the best looking in the sector by nature of the fact that they're flat. You've got here finance, a little bit of weak, mostly flat here. Commercial services incredibly weak, and producer manufacturing. Got an opposite of yesterday. Yesterday, AMAT and LRCX, I believe, were the only two strong names. Today, they're the only two weak names, with AMAT down 4.5% on earnings day one. Let's talk about strength. Energy minerals to the upside. Consumer durables. So Tesla to the upside here. I was seeing a couple different things about this, so I want to get into it. The information did, in fact, report that there's going to be this flying roadster stunt. Now, some people were saying, oh, this was just a misinterpretation of Elon's comments. I read through the report, and they actually do cite specific metrics for how this flying roadster stunt could work. So, I mean, I'm not saying the news is real, but I'm saying the report certainly is. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Consumer services is green. Industrial services is strong. And electronic technology, you've got strength yet again here in the memory names like the aforementioned SanDisk, Seagate, and Micron. You've also got a nice move to the upside here for Corning, GLWs. Keep an eye on some of these photonics plays. But then much like we're seeing here with Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon, the two Make Sevens in electronic technology are both flat. Back to you.
Zadara. I'm just, we do have finally, I mean, look, we've got winners on. It's like this Apple's a great one, actually, as that keeps on climbing to the high side. I mean, we've let it base out, but still not really going, but, we got it anyways. So we'll take 30 cents, a couple 30-cent fills now on Apple. Just getting it out at this 25 period moving average. These trades could really print out for us, but we do need to give them just a little bit of room, I think, like we've been doing. But I'm not going to give, that's Apple. But as opposed to Palantir, finally we have a winner on, and it's only because we're lucky, we're pretty dumb the way we've been trading this today. So, we're not going to really pat ourselves on the back for this one, but we finally do have it. It's making a little bit back. We're trying to get some of that money back. So I'm just going to try to get some out as we start to bump higher, because I was like, this stock for me was well in the money when it popped. Not well, but we could have got out right there on that number. And right before the number at 10 o'clock, I think it was Michigan. And then all of a sudden it just went whoosh, and we've never really been able to do much. We tried to buy this level, got out, and then got stopped there, and then finally found a 176, and it's just like, whatever, man. Good for you, Palantir, but hopefully it does have an upside move. It just doesn't look like it.
Caught.
Yeah, and then we also said that AMD seemed like it was slowing down a little bit up at the top. And we were just waiting for that retracement. 510 seems to have come into play there. Now 507 for this name. And yeah, good. I think that was a good talk there on Palantir, because we are getting out near this high side. So, definitely licking the wounds a little bit on PLTR right here by capturing some of that profit. And then honestly, Apple, I don't know what it was doing. We got out of more than half up here. But like I said, trying to give it some room back, because I like this level. It's been holding. If only it got going, Apple, we could have a decent sized winner on this one too. But okay, there it goes. You take another piece out as it comes back to 305. Let's get above now, Apple. Maybe this market wants to finally breathe a little bit. We haven't done anything with DRAM. Still in a small, like I said, under 5% of this one. Maybe we could take it out if it gets back to 58 and then just call it a day and wait to see if it does come back down. So yeah, just holding on to some longs right now, and you've got IBIT.
SpaceX looks like nothing.
Yeah, darn it, SpaceX.
I keep saying I'm waiting for the third try at SpaceX. I feel like every single time we've gotten in, it's shown enough strength to be worth it, but it just keeps on heading lower. 135 is going to be in play, but NVIDIA is actually catching a monster bid here, so I think this is the kind of thing that can drag some things to the upside. Still haven't had that VWAP retake on DRAM, but it's pretty close to gaining the volume weighted average price again. And then that, remember, 58 was prior high, so that can be a play as well. But with NVIDIA going, I think the second crack at Intel, like on the way back, played it with a tight stop. It also has the VWAP reclaim potential as well. Because the last time
there's a crazy thing happening on Apple.
We went long over here. What happened to Apple?
No, it's doing that 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 again.
The dark pool prints.
Yeah, they're just dark pooling 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Like, it's absolutely driving me nuts right here. And actually, the same thing's happening.
They're probing.
Same thing's happening on Palantir. 1 1 1 1. Well, I mean, it's a little bit different, but 1 1 1 1. If I could slow this down, you'd be able to see. It's all in between. It's just it's going back and forth. Like, so I don't know what's going on. Like, look at this Apple's. It's just so much dark. Everything's D's. It's all 1 1 1. Like, it's nuts. So I wish they really banned trading like single share lots like that, but unfortunately they're not.
It's called spamming the book to find liquidity. So what they do is they pepper it until they realize they're running into an order, and then that's why I think it's a potential reverse signal.
Yeah, so I mean, right now Apple's just ripping. That's why, I mean, I understand that trying to find out like which side it's hitting on right now, but there goes Apple. So finally, we said we give this one a little bit of room. So good on us for that, as it's trying to go upside now on Apple. So let this breathe a little bit there. But yeah, definitely some dark pool shenanigans going on there on AAP to the L. Right there. It's 10:46 already. We hadn't really looked at, for us anyways over here, the sort of the broader market as a whole yet. We talked about the market being flat with AMD ripping, Broadcom the other way. So maybe something about that communication there. We have to figure that out. NVIDIA and Apple both flat on the day. We just highlighted some Apple trading there for you. Walmart back down, but Walmart's had a great run. So 115 has been a good number there. Eli Lilly off its highs again. It just made close. It got to 1240, I think, a couple days ago, which was its all-time high, 1248. Back down to 1170 now. So yeah, not great on that one there. Repetruetide is in phase 3 right now. So once that gets announced, as it's another one of their GLP-1s, focusing on 3 receptors there instead of the 1. So that should be interesting there for Eli Lilly when that comes to market. Of course, we looked at energy a little bit just by looking at USO was upside. So all the energy names today really starting to put some numbers up as well. Financials, JP Morgan, man, we really like that stock, 365. Wow, that's been a good one. Yes, go Apple. Apple's going, man. Apple's making me happy today. Citigroup there, Equinox. Yeah, so this is just in the financial space. But yeah, the things that are standing out to me would be that Broadcom there. Unfortunately, we talked about how much Palo Alto we have in the account. So that's down 2.4%. CrowdStrike down 2.6%. And this is just today, it's a little bit of a software revenge day, right? Because yesterday was huge on that work day. And I don't know what that's doing today.
Selling.
Yeah, 195. That went up to 240 or something yesterday, I think, on those.
The problem is if you get deal speculation that's that big and there's no update overnight or the next day to anything specific, then the profit takers are going to be relentless on it because they wanted to hear a deal this morning.
Yeah.
But then you also remember most massive deals get announced on Mondays. That's just a reality. It's not often that you will see. It's not often, they used to call it merger and arbitrage Monday for a reason. Yeah, it's just one of those. I forget the percentage, but back in the day, it was like 40 to 50% of all major deals over X size happen on a Monday, and probably because you hammer out the details over the weekend. So the fact that they didn't get anything, the profit takers were relentless coming back in, but that would be huge if it happens. And think about the downstream. Like if a major firm thinks Workday is worth a massive premium, what does that say about the rest of the software space? I'm just saying, that's good for CRM. That's good for ServiceNow, so they can be in play, but unfortunately we didn't get a deal. Oh, that would be huge. So I don't know, the ones thing was in fact, which I was pointing out, it was happening everywhere. It wasn't just on Apple and Palantir. Okay. It was also, I saw it on SpaceX. And it wasn't happening in IBIT. I mean, whatever. That's an ETF for Bitcoin. So probably not. It's just happening on probably big cap tech names. So and it's not a triple bottom, but it is holding the low. So a bit of a different entry. Not this massive reversion candle higher low. Just a more of a tight consolidative bottom. But again, 137 VWAP. Those will be the exit points that we're looking for. And really, you really got to hope that NVIDIA doesn't completely lose steam, because I think that's what was dragging us higher. If NVIDIA loses steam, you're in trouble. And with only 10 minutes to go, AMD just broke trend. Maybe we should have been looking at this. No, AMD just broke the channel uptrend on AMD. All right, we're going to go to Adair Money Talks. I should have been staring this down, because that should have been a 506 short, and you could risk less than $1. Let's go to Adair. Time to see how the US dollar is doing. AMD was such a beast, possibly losing the bid now.
Let's talk about the US dollar here. I mean, technically, this has been in a range the last couple weeks now. High just above 100, low of just about 99.4. So this is like a 60 cent, for lack of a better term, range. And as of right now, we have not made either the high or the low of it. So not too much to speak of here on the daily chart. If you look at the weekly, I'm sure this will look pretty flat. Yeah, so the last 2 weeks, as we mentioned, we talked about that range. You really see it reflected in the chart with that high there of that 100 or so, just above 100. And then you've got the low here of that 99.4. Now, this is interesting. This low served as support going back to mid-June. Then we got to bounce off of it. Well, I think staying above or below this level is going to be pretty interesting for the DXY from a technical standpoint. Whole bunch of economic data this morning. Retail sales, well below estimates, negative 0.6% versus positive 0.1% expected. Core retail sales, negative 0.3% versus positive 0.2% expected month over month. And the year-over-year retail sales number, 5%, also below the prior print of 6.7%, estimates of roughly 6%. And then we had University of Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. Cooler than expected print for sentiment, coming in at 51 versus 55 expected. Hotter than expected one-year inflation expectation print here, 4.3% versus 4.2% expected. Right now seeing roughly 70-30 here for that rate hold in September, 70% chance that rates will be held according to the FedWatch tool. 28, just at a 30% chance that they'll be hiked by 25 basis points. If you look forward right now, we're still seeing a potential 25 basis point hike in December and no more going forward. But again, there's a lot of, hesitation here from a lot of market speculators, analysts saying that they don't really think that we're going to be getting any hike from Morris. We'll have to wait and see what the number is. But he's proven that he doesn't really want to give anybody any sign of the cards he's holding. We're not going to find out, I don't think, how he feels about that rate hike until the Fed announces it one day at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to send you back over to the guys.
Yeah, right.
Keeps it close to the vest is the mantra, I suppose.
I mean, now the market is making its mind up, I think, about what the Fed's going to do.
It's only going one way.
Yeah, it's only like it was just 50-50 at the beginning of the week, and then we got the inflation numbers, and now it's 70-30. So that's, much. All week we've been saying it's a coin toss. This is much more now, not a coin toss. And I think that as today's number, retail sales, it was pretty okay. I mean, the market hasn't really reacted to it. So although the market's red, we'll have to wait to see if it's a dramatic move or not. But they're not going to look at the stock market. They're just going to they're just going to look at data. So and probably just pick up the phone when the president calls and then whatever he tells them to do. Remember, it's still voting process, right? Just because Warsh was nominated doesn't necessarily mean that the influence that he has on the rest of the voting members.
He's not a dictator.
No, exactly. So he's still got to present the data, and they make up their opinions there. It's been a minute since SpaceX. I think we're allowed to talk about it now. It's just we've taken two shots. They're at 140, basically lose 139 out. There again, when we thought maybe it was baselining here into a little bit of a barcode, and then it broke that barcode and went to the downside. And now I think if you're trying to play with it, a little bit of trouble area because 135.50 still underneath the 200 period. This is the 50 period moving average there. So I'm trying to think about like what break long would actually work. I think if you wanted to do that, that's a 136. You're getting real specific. You might as well wait for 137 and maybe use this as your out if it's wrong. So what about a 137 break using 136.50s as your out? So that way you're not caught long now playing against the stock. You can play with it with the momentum as we continue to climb higher. So I think that might be something there for SpaceX, a break of 137, then using back end 136.50 as your stop. So that's something to be talked about, I think, there as well. Google Netflix, we talked about that, and I got a good pun reaction from Adara, although pun not intended when we had the Bill Ackman talk. And it's just like not doing anything again. So, all right, another one of those names that I think this looks like it wants to break low. Maybe it doesn't look like it wants to break lower, but if it does break, that's like again, maybe another sort of a waterfall action through this into maybe yesterday's levels. That's 77, that's 77.50 right there. So that kind of a break, 77.80, I think gets you at least 30 cents into some of those levels down on the downside there. So yeah, just the market looks like it wants to go back into the lows again. So more outs on Palantir for nothing. We're in the money 12, 15 cents here as we've just been getting hit on the way down for PLTR. And then we've done good on Apple getting out in and around some of these levels again for AAPL. Just hasn't really wanted to get going. Our best outs here has been 30s. I think we can also take advantage of this and get some out here again. Offer some 17s. Hopefully it comes up and hits us. But there's all those ones again. Look, streaming ones right there on Apple. So
it's everywhere.
There's definitely something going on. Yeah, we could check out. Is it on NVIDIA as well? Yeah, NVIDIA is doing the same thing, streaming these ones. So I don't know. I think some of these prices are being, there we just got Apple there because once the pressure eases, so I guess that they're hitting the bid, and I guess once that's over, then it starts to come back to the upside. So I don't know, man, but these dark pools.
I saw them hitting the offer before, but now it looks like it's definitely hitting the bid. Get to USO in a quick little
I don't know
second.
what these guys are hitting, actually. Yeah, I think just back and forth, this 111. Like, I don't know if there's a program that's gone off here a little bit, but we take advantage of it. There's the outs, so hopefully it keeps
at this point, I'm just trying to keep everything with the tighter stop. Don't even let it get to the low, the LOD. But here's the irony. The one time, this is the one day I actually take a long on IBIT. Instead of holding short and just continuing to add, I reversed because that's what it broke the trend. The market was at the low and it was making higher lows. So that to me meant a flip. It wasn't flushing like it was the other days. Every other day, Bitcoin, once it starts going under VWAP, it's been death. Like death there, death there. Today was the day it wasn't going. So we go for the flip up trade, but it's a fail. This was like the only other, like SpaceX, Red, Palantir, was just a breakout trade, but it was still, the one and done. But this was the one that was holding for it, and then there was that DRAM reversion trade. And now it's like, oh, okay, so I guess I should be still short. But one thing I can do with this is look at the possibility that there could be double barrel action. So yeah, I do want to get back into this short, but it's also worth noting that there might be something even weaker than it. The MNR is down 5% to Bitcoin's almost like a third of that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pay for locates on this. I still have, someone asked, are you ready to short Beyond Meat? I don't know, I've been ready to trade Beyond Meat all day long. You just tell me when Beyond Meat's going to actually do something after this split. Beyond Meat, you have to zoom in. It hasn't broken out above the high. It hasn't really taken out the low. And it's not doing a lot of volume. So sure, I thought there was going to be a trade off of this reverse split on Beyond Meat, but that it doesn't seem to care. It doesn't mean it can't get going a little bit later on. Anything can happen here, but this ends up being a nothing burger on Beyond Meat today, unfortunately. Just because it has a big short float and then you get the reverse split, it's not required to start moving. Like, you can't make the stock do something it doesn't want to do. And then even look at
Valid.
like DRAM. I was looking for a DRAM VWAP reclaim. That's just sitting there not doing it. So this doesn't look like any kind of a re-entry to the long on DRAM either. And we had that super chat up, and that's from Pure Ecstasy saying USO looks strong. You're right about that. It's been grinding higher, but even this is not that big of a range.
Grinding.
They just put it into perspective to what happened yesterday on the upside on USO, and this is a chop. Like, this is a lot of chop. If it gets up to the highs, maybe there's a version up there on USO. So I guess we'll have to wait for the next thing to set up a little better. I hope Beyond Meat does something. I hope DRAM can get above that volume weighted average price again, because that's at least looking pretty solid.
Beyond Meat trying to go. Yeah, look, you're a minute away. I know we don't have too many. We have a couple winners, as Neil just said there.
Basically, DRAM is
yeah, I'm going to go 2 for 3. Two wins, 3 losses today, 2 for 5. It's all good. And hopefully these guys on the Midday show will be positive traders for you here today. And hopefully we'll be positive when we get back at 2 p.m. But we only have 30 seconds left. So, look, I'm going to still DRAM. Yeah, DRAM's the only. I mean, Apple and DRAM are two actually trades that we actually take off of our sticky note. Palantir, we wrote down late on there 177. That's kind of just hovering around 176. We've been getting out of Palantir, and there's not much ado about nothing. Actually, I should say a couple just top tick outs there as it just wants to break lower. Look at the market. The market just took out day's low again right now. So hopefully you guys are okay. Apple, nice move higher. We'll just continue to hold on to that one. But Palantir continues to go lower. SpaceX, Palantir. Actually, I only have three losers today. I'm 2 and 2, but red. So Palantir down, red on that name, red on SpaceX, right? Up on DRAM, and obviously up on Apple. So it's not as bad as maybe we thought after all, but it just feels like the market just, all day does not have too much help for those longs. So give it a little bit of love there. I do think SpaceX does have a chance, but it's got to break 136.50 at least before you get involved in that one. So up jumps the boogie there on SpaceX. We'll see if it gets going there as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like we said, it'll be a red day here. I hope you guys have had a green one, and it's about to get a lot more green here on the Midday show, where we talk about some of the runners. MF just halted, Sharif. That Ban L is moving around, but that's not as much volume. We had a super chat on Ban L earlier. And I think a one that's been moving is AEHL, so that could be another look for you guys. But thank you to everybody for watching today. All right, decent show. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks to Dara, Sharif, Joe, everybody for their morning. And of course, now the afternoon show gets Sia. So she's ready to go now in the back. So hi, Sia. And we will see ya at 2 p.m. over to the Midday show. How about now? Thanks, Andre.
Oh, it is going. Onfo is on fire. Boom. Greetings, salutations. Beautiful people. There we go. Welcome to the Midday show. He's got thicker pinstripes on. He's also got the undershirt on, which I kind of do like. Adara did the same thing too. So I might actually go with that look when I get back next week.
Oh.
Hello, everybody. Benton. Come on, you gunners. My man Benton is printing up a storm on a buyout. That he, what?
No, nothing.
That he was astute enough to hold on. There we go. Shout out to Oxlong. YouTube is taking their sweet time today. Let's go, Tube. Because we have a breakout here, YouTube, that we have to talk about. ONFO is absolutely on fire. Here comes 540. There goes 540. I'm speaking to myself because nobody's in the chat. Assassino, are they still taking time? Yeah. All right. Oh, I did it yesterday, I swear. Oh. How about now? Yes. We're having problems. Okay.
Can you do VinFast ad read,
One
please?
sec, I couldn't hear him.
You didn't say that to me. I just made it.
I couldn't hear him
because I know it's coming.
All right. Well, here we go. We got Juan Padilla in the house. But guys, okay, take over because this thing is breaking out here.
All right,
so I gotta.
We gotta do VinFast. We'll say what up to everybody in TikTok here. We'll pull this one up. Assassino, I don't hear you, brother. We're tapped in as well too.
We're doing VinFast now.
Okay, are we doing it? Yeah, let's do it live.
All right.
Here we go, guys. VinFast reported strong Q2 momentum, delivering more than 70,000 EVs globally, up 96% year over year. First half deliveries reached nearly 129,000 vehicles, up 78%, reinforcing the company's growth trajectory across its expanding EV portfolio. By mid-year,